This is my first time using StreamYard, so I'm learning.
This is the first time I've ever heard of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's what everybody's using. I like the deal, so you can highlight comments that are coming through. You can bring the comments that people have up on the stage, and
it seems
the way people can read them, and you don't have to just read it off. You can actually highlight the comment.
So how you feeling? How you feeling for Saturday?
I'm about like I usually am. I'm about like I usually am, just real nonchalant. See like that. And then we got Nick Adams right there. We highlighted his comment.
Nick.
That's why I really like this one. I'm glad
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Did the switch up, but yeah, I haven't been doing anything, dude. I haven't been training. I haven't been nothing.
But you were going really, really hard there for a while, going all over. You were in Florida. You went to Oklahoma, right? It was.
Yeah, but I didn't pull up there in Oklahoma.
But you were working.
I was working. Yeah. So yeah, right now it's man, I get my table time once a week, with San Antonio and stuff like that. So it's not like I'm not doing anything. But it's what's up, Heath? Yeah, I think Heath, you coming in the 176 class? Me and Trey were just talking about that.
176 class looks crazy.
Yeah. Anthony Lowe, he says me either. He hadn't been doing nothing. Still goes to practice though. Well, it's about maintenance for you at this point, isn't it?
Anthony's always watching. He's always got the lowdown on happenings in the world.
Yep. Let me bring Dustin back in. Get a few people in here.
Can you hear me now?
James.
Yep, we got you now, Dustin.
Sorry, I'm stuck.
So yeah, sweet, man. So yeah, I wanted to get on, kind of talk a little bit about Texas State, what's going on, what we got going. It's the location. Yeah, I know we've had some back and forth on location. Why is it way out in Lubbock? And I've explained myself a few times, and I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna stick to what was agreed to, and we're gonna finish the rotation out amongst the regions. And then after that, in 2026, 2025, it'll go to El Paso with Mark. Yep. And then 2026, that'll be full circle and back around, most likely San Antonio again, where we'll have to look at our model and figure out where we want to go from there, because I really want to keep Texas State in that I-35 corridor between San Antonio and Dallas. I want Texas State needs to be the biggest event, and I think we're going to see the numbers on it. Once we finish the rotation, we'll be able to look at each Texas State and go, okay, this is kind of where the bread and butter is. You know what I mean?
Is that what you've saw in the past? Central locations, I-35 corridor. It seems to be the best turnout.
Yeah, Texas is so dang huge. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a thing. That's why I want to finish the rotation. I want to give every region their Texas State, so the guys out in El Paso and stuff like that will have that opportunity to experience Texas State in their hometown. And then I think we need to bring it back where we have the most turnout every year. We want Texas State to be huge, and it's going to take a little bit of traveling for some. It's going to be in some people's back door, but at the end of the day, I want Texas State to be, huge. I don't see any reason why in the next few years we shouldn't be hitting over 400 on the entries.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. I agree with Trey. It should be getting bigger every year, and I appreciate that we're coming to El Paso here. Man, that's going to be cool. It really is. I know some people are upset about that, and I've seen some comments online and everything about that and about traveling, but we got to travel for most of the time. And I think that'll be cool. It'll be really great for everyone to come this way, and then moving forward, just like you said, Billy, just wherever we're getting the most attendance.
Yeah.
We got to make this rival Michigan State, make it rival all those Wisconsin, those really big ones that, and we're already there. So,
Yeah, we're close. I mean, yeah, we've seen it with what we had so far, right? The first Texas State was probably a little inflated due to the John and Dimitri match. I'm sure that brought in some extra heads, but that was like 370 something. The next year we went east, and I thought we would pull a lot more Louisiana guys, maybe some Mississippi guys, and we just didn't. And that dropped to about 240 something. We came back to Austin, central location. We're back up over 300, 320, 340, something like that. We'll go to Lubbock. Now, Lubbock, I was a little optimistic in the beginning, but as we've kind of gotten closer, there's been a lot of communication, a lot of people that have been reaching out that I don't even know who they are. Hey, planning on coming to the event, signing up. Some outside talent we've got coming in. And that could partly be due to the Arnold qualifier. It's one of the last Arnold qualifiers besides the Knuckles Up qualifier next year.
Huge deal. Awesome deal.
Yeah.
So happy
isn't that great?
That's great. Yeah. And I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping that this whole Arnold thing works out with the way Knuckles Up has it planned out. Because I think it really could be, freaking huge. We've got the opportunity, like our event has the opportunity to qualify up to like over 50 people. That was kind of my, that's part of, we'll get to the subject of the weight classes here in a minute, but that was kind of part of the little funky thing with the 243 and the 275 class. And I'll explain that a little bit more here when we get to it. But my objective was to get as many people qualified as possible. Who is calling me?
Let them in.
They're calling me on Messenger. I don't know.
So Trey, are you coming to state, or are you going hunting in Nebraska?
Man, what are you doing? You checking up on me or something, man?
You know how it is, man.
I'll be in Nebraska.
I got to keep tabs on you.
I'll be in Nebraska.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
All right.
Another no state year for this guy, sadly. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Believe me. I'm chomping at the bit.
Well, I'm glad you're still involved with this, even though you won't be here, but I can't wait till we lock up again.
That's great. Stay hungry, man. Stay hungry.
Will do.
Yep.
So weight classes, you had you added a weight class. Is that what happened? I read a little bit into it. I didn't get too crazy about it, but
yeah. So Arnold's runs the typical weight classes like we do. Only they have the 275 plus class.
Yes, that's
so
what
it's
yeah.
Instead of having a 243 plus, they have the 275 plus, and you've got the 242 to 275.
Okay.
Now, I could have ran it like that, but the problem is that's an additional class that we didn't allocate. We didn't like budget for payout wise.
Right.
So it was kind of those things is where I could just say, unfortunately, the 275 plus class doesn't get payouts this year. Or if I could, I was trying to secure some extra sponsorship, but that didn't come through. So it's going to be a little funky, but I think also a positive because supers don't ever get the chance to pull more than once. They're the heaviest weight class, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're offering our standard 243 plus as usual that will have the money and everything like that attached to it. So everybody 243 plus are going to be in the 243 plus. Then you'll have the 275 class as an additional class that these supers can pull for awards and additional qualification.
Did you have anybody reach out to you about the 275 class, and what did you get any opinions on it? What they thought?
I mean, nobody reached out like per se with any like comments or anything like that. I mean,
Hey, Trayton.
some of the bigger guys that were coming in were going to pull the we're thinking they were going to pull the 275, and then there was no payouts. But
Yeah.
Trayton, can you give me some advice on I need to cut a few pounds so I can hit that 275 in 3 days?
Yeah. Yeah. Sauna and a week of keto. Sauna.
I don't have a week. I don't have a week. It's already Wednesday, isn't it?
A sauna and Dustin pulls. Have him throw towels on your back in a hotel lobby like we did in front of Billy for me cutting to 165.
I watched it, and that's another topic of conversation too, is weigh-ins. So,
oh yes, let's I saw your post before. That was interesting. A lot of different opinions. Drew Thompson.
well, I mean,
a lot of different good opinions though. Interesting ones.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird, So like that wasn't a poll. It wasn't a suggestion on us doing anything different the way we're doing. It's just being in the circles that I'm in. I hear a lot, So, and there's one thing about arm wrestlers is we love to talk. So, generally speaking, when somebody sees something go down at another event, or maybe, this other organization is doing 5-pound clothing allowances or something like that, you hear all these discussions and stuff through the grapevine. So, that's one thing that, like even, like Dustin and Laughlin and we talked about a lot, like your reputation can take quite a hit if you start messing up weigh-ins as a promoter. You start being willy-nilly and people start seeing those things and they start to trust whether or not people are in the classes that they're supposed to be in and all that stuff. And so I like to be.
It can get super crazy.
Yeah.
I can think of a couple of different times of different organizations, two specifically, where it was very much willy-nilly. Like it was just kind of like, oh yeah, you're good to go, 8 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
And then, everybody that paid to get into your event is like, either they don't know, or if they do find out through the grapevine, as you say, then it's like, yeah, your respect as an organization, also the athlete that's involved with it goes right down the drain. So a very good thing to bring up for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's a respect thing too, right? So as a promoter, I try to do my best to respect all the pullers the same. I want to treat everybody exactly the same. That's why the weigh-ins are exactly the same. We try to run things exactly the same. That way everybody has a expectation of consistency. Like, we still get the people that come in, oh, we're still doing a clothing allowance and stuff like that. But like I want to get to the point here in Texas where none of my Texas people know, like they don't know what's going to happen at weigh-ins. They know they got a 2-pound clothing allowance. They know they got to hit that right on the money. They know we're going to have a good scale. They know we're not going to like go, oh, well, this person can be a little over. And
we turned away the former president of the league, Keith Armbrister, in an event because he wasn't hitting weight. What was he? Remember when he was over? It wasn't much.
0.8 pounds. I mean, like 0.8.
Wasn't much. Yeah,
that's a lot.
Look, and I'll tell this story. Like at Texas State in East Texas, Robert Mosqueda, 0.2 over. Got to go figure it out, man. Got to go figure it out.
It sucks because then they put their suits on, they go run around the building, they go, do all kinds of, and they're hurting, man. You know that pain.
Oh yeah.
Well, so
what are you going to do? That's your reputation. That's your, that's rules are rules, and there's really no gray area there. It's a finite number. You're going to say the class is from this to this. We've already given you an allowance. What more do you want? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll chime in on my own personal experience on the last card. Billy, you were there on the Blackout Invitational in Austin, August 31st, and regardless of everything that happened beforehand, I thought I was on weight, but I got there and I wasn't. I was never going to ask for any leniency, nothing like that. If I was 0.4 over, and that's what it was, I was 0.4 over. If I was 0.4 over, then I'm going to get that 0.4 down on site there, whatever I have to do. So I think
what kind of things are you running into? No, not Billy and Dustin. What kind of things do you guys run into as promoters and for the Texas Arm Wrestling League? Like, to me, and as I'm sure it is to James as well, it's like it seems very clear as to like you have a 2-pound clothing allowance, and this is what it is, and it's a very important part of the sport. I mean, I feel like most people know that. So just kind of curious as to like what you run into with people.
And that's a lot.
Go ahead.
2 pounds. That's a lot. So
yeah,
it can be.
I personally, this is my personal opinion. I don't think there should be any clothing allowances, but
I mean, there's an argument for true weight classes. There's an argument for same day weigh-ins.
Yeah.
So there's arguments for all different kinds of things. I kind of look at it as it's strict enough without being so strict that you're not jeopardizing pullers, too bad. Meaning, what I mean by that, like we've got many pullers that are stripping sometimes 15, maybe even 20 pounds. So a little bit of allowance gives them a little bit of leeway, and those early weigh-ins give them a little bit of time to replenish their hydration and their nutrients and stuff. That way they come into the tournament. Because and I get it, you can make the argument for true weight classes, but there's always going to be somebody cutting. So, they're always going to try to cut. They're always going to be, heavy. The guys are going to walk around at, say, 185 pounds. Maybe someone close to 190 trying to cut to the 176 class, even if you do same day weigh-ins. So, I think there's a little bit of safety aspect into it. Plus, I like with the 2-pound clothing allowance, top and bottom on, I don't want to have to take people into the bathrooms or actually just do weigh-ins in the bathrooms to strip people down.
Right. That seems to be.
It gives a little bit of leeway where we can kind of be anywhere and still conduct weigh-ins. And the funny thing is, though, not very many people you would think you'd see people coming in like a silk tank top and silk shorts or something like that, and I still see people coming in cutting, wearing like cargo shorts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, blue jeans or something. And I'm like, man, but going back to see, I want to answer, there's a couple questions here. I think Heath asked this one right here. So still good to come in at 178 with top and bottoms on. Yep. That's the usual. So take your shoes off. You got a top and a bottom on so you can stand out in public, and then you're at that 178.0. So that's one of the things I want to make clear too is, and I think going back to what your question was, Trayton, what problems do we run into? I think it's the difference in the number of promoters across the country, right? And like, let's just say here in Texas, you've got us, you've got and Dez out in East Texas. You've got Jerry Duro up there in East Texas. You've got the AWU guys. You've got TAF down south, and they all might do weigh-ins differently.
Yeah.
And then so you get what ends up happening is you'll go to another promoter. One guy will go to a promoter, and they have a 2-pound clothing allowance, but they'll allow like 2.9. And I always go, that's not 2 pounds. That's 2.9 pounds.
I've been part of those.
Yeah, I just think there's just a lot of variations in the weigh-ins, and then especially when you have out-of-state pullers, they're coming in, usually competing at different events that do things differently, and
Yeah, I think that the people that that I like Austin Arsenal that I train with, and the athletes on our end of the deal, one of the big reasons why we're so dedicated to the TAL is because it's a serious organization and serious promotion. And one of the big things is the weight cuts or the weight classes and what the weight is and how serious are you about that. A 2-pound clothing allowance is cut and dry. That's what it is. It's easy to figure out. This is what you got. Whatever you're wearing, you got clothes on, cool. You can weigh 2 pounds above, what the weight class is. Easy peasy. So that's why I'm curious about what you guys are running into, because I know for me and my team, that's it's easy. That's easy to figure out. That's really really easy to figure out. Easy to get behind. And in fact, I think I could almost side with Dustin on this, where really speaking, it should probably be 176, but it's being fair.
Yeah.
It's being fair, maybe in comparison to the other organization. So yeah, that's why I was curious about it. What are you running into there? What's the big deal?
Yeah. I think the 2 pounds is probably about a 50-50 split. It probably works in favor of the puller and it works in favor of the promoter to allow, some leniency with that. Like I said, we can, when we go to the venue, in Lubbock, if we got to do it in the bar there in the lobby, we can do weigh-ins there, So
we have turned away, multiple people over the years on being overweight, and they, some of them will stick around and pull the heavier class. A lot of times they don't, though, and they just decide to leave.
Yep.
I would imagine that. I mean, that 2-pound allowance that TAL does, I feel like that's very generous, and I feel like that's very inclusive to people that want to come in out of state. And I think it's really easy.
I think it's a fairly standard allowance.
I think we're going to continue to see a lot of pullers out of state that want to come, and I think that's a good thing for that reason solely. But that's the thing, is that Billy and Dustin, you guys can't move from that. That's what I think, in my opinion, that's already enough. That's a very generous allowance.
Oh, and there's no plans to move from that. If anything, it gets stricter. It doesn't get more lenient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Robert's pretty hardcore on this. First time on the scale is the one that counts.
Yeah.
Doesn't even give you a chance to go back and redeem yourself or anything. Just
yeah.
Well, I mean,
that's only bit me in the butt one time, and that was this last one. Yeah.
I think it kind of speaks to a bigger picture too, right? Is how serious do you take the sport, right? So it seems like there's a lot of chatter amongst the community. Oh, why aren't we in the Olympics? Why aren't we doing this? Why don't we have these big time sponsors? Why don't we do this? It's like, look, all the other sports do professional stuff. If you want to be professional, these are the things you have to do. These are the simple things that you have to do, right? You can't be willy-nilly with these weigh-ins. Oh, well, you can just come in 5 pounds heavy and stuff like that. Look, when you watch the weigh-ins for UFC, are they going, well, you're okay with 2.9 over, right? No, I mean, these are professional fighters, and they're now, granted, people will go, well, we're not making money doing it. Yeah, well, not right now.
Hey, Billy,
so is that going to be the kicker? Is when you start making money, then you're going to get professional about it?
We got to go to a commercial break real quick, Billy. Did you have that lined up ready?
For what?
Well, I can start us off if you like. I
guess I missed the memo.
Yeah, this portion of the podcast is brought to you by Combat Arms Sports.
Those tables are awesome.
Get your mini table now.
Those are some solid tables there.
.com.
As soon as I saw it, I had to buy one.
Yeah. Hey, we will have some stock at Texas State too.
Yeah. They're a lot of fun. We're working on some other things with that as well, but yeah, should be fun.
Yep. Well, I mean, let's just keep rolling with that. Let's roll in the sponsors. So we got a number of sponsors this year for Texas State. Let that finish. That dryer is obnoxious with the buzzer.
So,
but
if I can chime in on this, just
go ahead.
A small tidbit. So for the Western Regional Qualifier here in El Paso, I got in contact with the company that I work for, Marathon Petroleum. So we were able to set something up for that, and we became the biggest sponsor for that event. It wasn't something that they were aware of prior, but it was something that I've laid out to the head of communications at that in our department here to maybe continue a relationship forward with that. And especially with state coming to El Paso next year, obviously it's going to be inconvenient for a lot of players, and I get that, but I think that it could really be a big opportunity for us to secure such a huge sponsorship, because my company is the largest refining for oil in the United States.
That's awesome.
I think
we appreciate that.
And they were hesitant at first, but the more that Mark and I talked to them, they were more receptive, and they're super excited. So hopefully we'll be able to springboard that into something bigger.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. And you said that was for the West Texas Championship?
Yeah, West Texas Regional. So one of the regionals for
Mark's event.
Yeah, Mark's event. Yep.
You know what I'm kind of looking into for that state that next year? I'm looking into maybe doing a bus. You know what I mean? And we'll just have cater or charter a bus. And
it's funny that you mentioned that, Dustin, because I also have a contact for that. One of my former coworkers that used to work for Marathon, he runs his own company for El Paso, but he does tours to bus tours to Las Vegas, to Dallas Cowboy games, and he's really big into that. So that may be.
Yeah, have him get a surprise. I mean, it'd probably be like leaving Friday, whatever, and probably Friday morning or before lunch, and then coming back on Sunday type thing.
And that's exactly what he's into. So, like, for example, like in the bus packages that he includes, like for the football games, they'll go like on the Friday, they include this hotel, these bars with these drinks, all the way up. You have a certain inclusions, and then on the way back you have a certain number of things. So that might be an avenue. Thanks for the idea.
I think it can work for a lot of people because it's a long drive. It's what is it to San Antonio from El Paso? 10 hours or.
And I know that's going to be difficult for next year, especially. So considering that he's already used to making those long trips, that may be something that we can look into.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, travel is here's the thing. You've got some people that have a hard time traveling, and then one thing I'm seeing in the community at large, not just here in Texas, but also here in Texas, is that anything outside of 2-3 hours they're not going to make any effort to travel to. And that's unfortunate because you do have some pullers, i.e. like yourself, that are making that trip once or twice a year to other parts of the state. So,
and I understand different people's circumstances, but I think it's important, especially with the sport that you're into. This year, I've already been to North Carolina, went to Austin to pull Trayton. Obviously, you guys know that. Been all over the place, and it's only the beginning. So I think it's important to do that, to get outside the bubble and to pull. So anything we can do to help with, I think would be good.
One thing we do need, at least in my opinion, is we need some more growth. We need, in some of these areas, and it's a challenge. Yeah. I get it. I mean, gosh, we've been fighting real hard here in San Antonio to build and grow our team. And
you guys are incredible, by the way. I mean, seeing how good you are at that.
I appreciate that, Trent. We we've made, progress. I think it's never where I wanted it, or want it yet, but hopefully we'll get there someday soon. I think, you've got your guys that want to go compete and they want to focus on that. They don't want to focus on bringing in the new guys. And then you've got your, very few and far between, your promoters and your builders or whatever, that do want to see the sport grow. And I recognize as a league, what helps the league tremendously is having those entry fees and those new pullers come in, because eventually a lot of you have guys leave for multiple reasons. You'll have guys leave either, because they whatever, they go do something else, or they retire or whatever, or so you constantly need to have some of that new blood coming up in, filling in the ranks. And we couldn't do the things that we have done with the league without new pullers. No way, without amateur pullers. So we do need guys to try to, hopefully teams around the state are continually looking for ways to build and grow their team as big and bad as they can do it.
And
for us, the main thing that's made that happen is, I think, and I don't know, is public practices. I think we have a lot of public practices. So it sort of normalizes the sport. Whereas, like when we first started here, like people didn't even know arm wrestling was a sport. I mean, there was nothing. And so it sort of normalizes it, makes it, okay, hey, check that out. You got men and ladies and even kids in their arm wrestling. And so, yeah, anyway, my 2 cents on it.
Something we were looking at too. One person that's really good at this recruiting is Alejandro Nunez. And one of the things that I have, obviously noticed, about him, and I love him for it, is that you can always count on, and I think similar to the San Antonio Arm Wrestling Association, you can count on practice being on this day at this time every week. And it is that way, with Nunez and his team. It is on who I started with. You got noon on Sunday, and then you got 7 p.m. on Wednesday, and you can count on that practice being there every single week. And Alejandro puts his phone number on there, and that's how I got a hold of him when I first started arm wrestling. Texted him, called him, and so just being personable, having a date and time that you can rely on is something that I think everybody should strive for. A date and time that you can rely on for people that, might be following what we're doing, but, they're just trying to maybe work up the courage or whatever it might be to go and actually give it a shot. Definitely all things that we could do better in that department for sure. Recruiting, because like you said, the new blood is that's what keeps this thing alive and keeps it going and makes it bigger.
Yep.
For sure.
I agree.
Well, I mean, we could, I'll talk a little bit about it, but I think that could be a podcast all in itself, man. Because there's so many different dynamics to that, right? Because what, like, say, Dustin does here in San Antonio isn't, let's take Austin Arsenal, all right? You guys are open to new pullers coming in. I see it all the time. Hey, I'm looking for arm wrestling here. You guys are in for sure, but you're not doing the right. So it's a little bit different. You guys have more of a tight knit, intimate, team, one location, all that kind of stuff. And then you have, like that would be like out there in West Texas with you, James and Mark. You guys are doing it at Mark's place all the time. You guys are inviting, but you're not in a public atmosphere.
Well, yep. And that's the point I was going to make, is that we haven't gotten into that foray of having public, as long as I've been in this, we haven't had a public practice. I noticed that some of the younger guys, some of the more junior guys, amateur guys that have gotten into it, they've floated the idea and also had public practices. And that's something that you see across the nation with different teams. And it's something that we need to do. And also, we have the extra pressure now of hosting next year. So that's a huge opportunity. And I know we've had those conversations, Mark and I and the guys, and we don't want to squander that. So
yeah.
we gotta-
I think you could have different comments about different, right? So I could probably, me and Dustin have had this conversation many a times with the San Antonio group. And it's not like we're not arguing, we're just bouncing ideas off each other. And I think, hands down, what Dustin does here as far as growth is probably the most of what I've seen anywhere, right? Because we can sometimes we have practices with 25, 30 people in them. You know what I mean? We just have that many guys. Many people showing up, but I think there is that.
That's big.
Yeah, it's massive.
You don't see that over here at all.
No. But there's also, like, this is part of the other conversation that him and I talk about, is I think there's a little bit of like true like unity and team fall off with that, because it's in a more public setting rather than private. I think there's some things that, some things that get accomplished in a private setting, and people end up, I think, get closer. So, and we're getting there in San Antonio. We're getting there. More and more of our members are starting to travel as a group, stuff like that. We're getting there. And so I'm not saying any way is bad. I just think there's just so many different dynamics to how you grow, and one might be better than the other in different areas. So but everybody that I've seen so far, especially here in Texas, no matter where, if somebody comes on and says, hey, I'm looking to get into the sport, the people up in Dallas are opening their doors, Austin, San Antonio, everywhere that I can see. Texas has been pretty inviting for new pullers.
It's intimidating though, and then it hurts. Arm wrestling hurts. A lot of times you see somebody show up, and then they might come for maybe the next week. And
so just to bounce off that, Trey, I don't mean to cut you off, but obviously the question that we all get asked is advice for new pullers. And the one thing that I say every single time is don't be afraid of the pain, because you're going to feel it. It's going to hurt more than some sort of hard workout that you've ever done. It's going to be different. It's going to be some sort of deep, agonizing pain that you're going to feel for longer than you would for a normal workout, DOMS, whatever. But It's going to be different. And I've seen it. That's what pushes people away sometimes. If that kind of pain, like, they don't want to have that. They don't want it to impede on their workouts, whatever they're doing. They just don't like that pain. So that's been my number one.
One thing on that, James, what we've started doing with new guys is and Billy will tell you, we've started taking it real easy on them on the first day and the first, maybe the first month, 2-3 months. Hey, especially today, it's your first practice, man. Today, I really want you to listen. I'm going to show you the 3 things. We're going to talk about safety first. Avoid arm break position. Keep your eyes on your hand. Keep your chest pointed towards your hand. We show them how to set up. Try not to overwhelm them with too many things. We focus on just that safety, and then we try to give them a little bit to kind of try to hook them. All right, and by hook them, I mean just set the hook. So they develop a passion for it, and so we'll start showing them how to top roll a little bit. And that typically starts changing a newbie's outlook on the sport, because then they start being able to beat folks that could be stronger than them. So, but. Yeah, I think. There was another point you made there, and I was going to get in on, but anyway, I lost it. I lost my train of thought on it.
How did your boys get into it, Dustin? We've got.
Well, that's why I got back into the sport. The reason I got into arm wrestling in the beginning, our wrestling coach back in high school wanted to do a fundraiser, and he wanted to do like a car wash or something, and I was like, oh, coach, that sucks. I was like, and I had just seen some arm wrestling on TV. I think it was Wide World of Sports or something like that. This was early 90s, and so I told him, I said, hey, coach, let's do an arm wrestling tournament. He was our metal shop teacher, So that we didn't even have internet back then, so we wrote a letter, snail mail, to I think it was the National Wrist Wrestling Association or something like that. And they mailed us a package. A few weeks later, had a bunch of stickers and videos and the rules and how to build a table. And so we got busy. We built 3 tables that first year. We made all of the trophies right there in Metal Shop. And then I went around and I got like the whole school. This was East Valley High School, Spokane, Washington. I got like pretty much the whole school to sign up, man. We had a weight class every freaking 3 pounds or something. It was crazy. And it was one of the biggest fundraisers they'd had. And they carried that tournament on for like 19 years until Coach Close retired. And
wow.
I happened to be fast forward to, gosh, what was it? 2018, 20, whatever. I'm in my garage working on a project, and a video comes up. It was a WAL video with Devin Laird on there. And I was like, what the heck is this? I was like, I had no idea about arm wrestling, right? None whatsoever. And until we did that first tournament. And then even then we really didn't have a whole lot of guidance or anything like that.
Yeah.
I ended up, I moved and went to college down in Florida. I was gone for about 4 years. I went back to Washington. I called up Coach. I said, hey, you still doing the tournament? He's still doing the tournament. He said, yeah, you got to come out because Mike Beggs is going to be here. Mike Beggs is, he's back then. He's still pulling a little bit up there, up in North Idaho, Spokane area. And so Mike was the first guy to kind of show us a little tiny bit about like professional arm wrestling, like real arm wrestling.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool. In fact, I lost to his son in the finals that year. And I walked up to the table just like every amateur does, I'm going to crush this little dude.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he said, go, and I'm on the losing side, so I was like, but anyway, so I happened to catch that video in my garage, and it all just kind of came rushing forward. And I'm like, oh, dude, there's got to be a team here in San Antonio. Well, when I started looking around, there was nothing. Nobody was doing anything in San Antonio. I couldn't find anything. So at least not on Facebook. And I ended up finding a couple guys that were pulling in a garage on Nextdoor, the Nextdoor app. I don't know if you'll
It's a great app. I use it. It's a great app even now.
You found arm wrestlers on Nextdoor?
Well, I had put out a post.
You tried Grinder first.
And I don't have that.
He tried Grinder first. Didn't work out well.
Grindr.
Oh boy.
I don't have Grinder for the record. So, and so anyway, I said, guys, what are we doing here? There's only, 3 of us or whatever. And of course, my boys started pulling at that time. They were little, like Tyler. Gosh, he was, I could show you pictures. I mean, he was just tiny. And that first year, my brother and I built a table, and it turned out pretty good. And then we ended up meeting Brady Ellis. And come to find out, Brady Ellis lived right, former owner of Combat Arms Sports, and inventor and whatever. And so, pardon me, Brady said, hey, you guys want to do a tournament? I can get Travis here or whatever. And I was like, are you kidding me? Travis is my favorite, arm wrestling celebrity. And well, one of my favorite,
the man. He's the man.
No, he's your favorite. Let's not. Let's
listen,
not even go down this road right now.
Him and John are right there. I have to admit,
Travis.
You definitely have a hard on for Travis.
Yes, yeah, Travis probably has a little bit more. Yeah. So
You can admit it to us. This is a safe place. Dustin.
I can admit. I'll admit it. But I use Travis in all my training too. Every
one of them.
Yeah. So. But Jake's been pretty busy with kind of getting his career going a little bit and kind of figuring out which way he wants to go. He's been welding. And of course Tyler just joined the Air Force, so he's been.
I saw that. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. He's actually up in Wichita Falls right now at I think Shepherd Air Force Base, and he's going to. He's going to try to get together with that new team up there in Wichita Falls that we got going earlier this year, which I'm really excited about, Ryan and those guys. So he's going to try to get together with those guys while he's up there for a time being and really help get that team going. And the weekend following state, we have a recruiting event down in Laredo. We're going to try to get that team going. There's 2 or 3 guys down there that'll pull, but we just need somebody that will take the mantle, take the leadership role, and really run with it.
Let me say this real quick about Tyler. I loved him as a ref in Lubbock last year.
Don't you say anything bad about Tyler.
No.
I'm smash you again, James.
I'm saying the exact opposite.
The boy,
Tyler, he sees things that other refs don't see, and he's not afraid to call them out.
he's a better ref than I. And multiple.
It just so happens that it worked out in my favor at that tournament. But, man, if I could have Tyler at every single one of my events or my matches that I pull, I would have Tyler. That dude is astute. He's on point. I like Tyler a lot.
I'd say he takes after his father, but I can't.
Yeah.
That's great. I love Tyler.
Yeah,
Calm
fun
down,
fact
Trey.
about Tyler.
Saying something good. You don't got to come after me again.
Yeah.
Fun fact too. I think he was the youngest senior certified referee under Leonard in the U.S.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That makes sense considering, how young
I think he was 16 or 17. I think when he got it.
Yeah, I think so.
Reffing has been a real hot topic. I'm a super appreciative of Boom and his.
Now you're getting into like a whole other podcast.
Well,
here.
no, I think it's great. I just want to say, I have come to respect the refs a lot more. I haven't been in the sport for a super long time. It's only like 3 years or 3.5 years now, and reffing is hard. It is a hard job to do, especially, God bless the refs that are going to be there for states, because, when you are out there reffing for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, back to back with very little break, trying to make sure that it's fair for everybody. Not enough is said for those guys. It's a hard job, really hard job, hard to make sure that everything's perfect. Super appreciative of everybody.
That's why I give Tyler the credit.
Anything Frank says doesn't matter. Just
from me, for Tyler, he saw things and he wasn't afraid to call them out, and I think that's cool. You need to not have kind of hesitation as a ref, and he's got it. He's great.
Yep.
I'm not sure if he's watching or on right now, but I'll let him know, James. Thanks.
Sucks that we lost him. I hated that. But love the
Dustin
opportunity.
Hyatt, Uncle Tom.
Wait,
What's that?
what about Hyatt?
Dustin Hyatt coming to Texas State. Uncle Tom.
Come on, really?
Uncle John will
You
be
didn't
there.
know?
No, I heard something about that.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
That's
Uncle
a
John's
bad
talking
dude
about
right
coming
there.
and taking all the money.
Oh,
But he's
boy.
got
What is he? He's got to be the 275 plus now, right?
he was cutting down a little bit. I'm not sure. I think he was on his way to 242 at least.
242.
Robert may know. If Robert's still in the chat, he may know exactly where he's at right now. I know they talk a lot, Robert Kelly. But I think he was coming down close to the 242, and then he was going to pull everything up from that. So he's going to pull all the classes, 242, 243 plus, 275, all of it.
Man.
Yep.
So
That'll
how
be
does
great.
is Nick Adams, or is he coming to this?
I think he was still undecided. He was having some issues with one of his wrists. I can't remember if it's right or his left, but
Like him and some of the other guys, I'd like to see.
Yeah, Ronnie Morales. He's 220 though, right? He'd be in the 220 class.
it depends. I
He's
mean,
Huge right now. That boy is big.
He's
know,
probably having a hard time getting back to 220. I don't know how that.
I
that's
don't
the
care.
funny
Let
thing.
him get bigger. He is. That man is so big, so strong. Keep getting bigger, please.
Nick says he'll be there.
Nick
Nick
Adams.
said, I talked to Nick the other day, and he was, on kind of a little on the bubble, but he was definitely going to try to make it. So yeah, I got a message from Tony Tomlinson. He's supposed to be coming in.
Oh yeah.
So that'll be another big super heavyweight.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I've gotten a couple other messages. I can't remember their names, but a couple other messages for some guys that I've like seen out in the community and stuff like that. So there should be some decent competition there for sure.
Some pretty nice medals you ordered there. They turned out pretty good.
Those medals are so cool.
Yeah, they came out well. I mean, it's
really well.
Yeah, we're working on something for next year. We're already working on Texas State stuff for next year. So I'm hoping we can get it all put together, and I think it's going to be really cool. We can nail it.
Also, we're going to have our inductions, our Hall of Fame inductions. What's up, Dustin?
Man. Dustin Poles.
What's up, man?
How are you guys?
Good.
Everybody ready for states?
Absolutely.
James,
Not Trayton though.
you're going to get to pull against Hyatt.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
fucking
stoked about that. I want to see if
I'm wondering if you're going to get to pull against Hyatt, Mr. Poles.
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering.
I'm cool with that.
Well, me and Trayton were talking a little bit.
Fine.
Yeah, me and Trayton were talking a little bit before we went live, and how bad do you want it, Dustin? Because I could try to make it happen.
Well, I've got Oklahoma to deal with, so that's the only person on my mind.
Heath?
Who's from Oklahoma?
Adrian Morrison. Heath.
Oh.
What? I'm just kidding. Heath is 76. I expect him to probably win. Yeah, Adrian Morrison, number 7 in airs.
Yeah.
I know you guys had he pulled 98s last year, I believe. So that's the only reason I said that.
No, he's pulling 176 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spoke to him already. He's with the Oklahoma guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, number 1 and number 2 in Oklahoma are coming.
Nice.
Wow. Fantastic. What up, Nathan?
Relax.
Nice. Yeah. Stuart, he hit me up the other day. He said that Dustin and them were coming, and he's definitely coming in fresh for the 176, but also is wanting to pull the 198. So I was telling Trayton that when we get everything laid out on the brackets and everything like that, I'll look and see what kind of overlap we might be having with different classes, and we may do some tweaking of how the classes run, and stuff like that to make sure that everybody gets as much pulling in as they want to, and also we don't get into some crazy thing where guys are having to pull out of their class first and then get into their actual weight class tired and stuff like that. So
Yeah, of course.
you can only avoid so much of it, but
Yeah. I would presume it typically the 176s and 98s run about the same time.
yeah. Well,
What
if
time's-
it depends on how it depends on how we run it. If I run it exactly how the layout is now, the 198s would run first before the 176 because they'd be running first out of the box on table 2. So, but I've got the ladies classes that I can kind of mix some stuff up with, so I can run them first to delay that class or, what have you. So there's a little bit of tweaking and stuff that we can do.
Yeah, it'd be pretty wicked if someone like, say, James busts a win on him because he got his ass torn up in the 98.
Just give me the opportunity. I'll figure something out.
Would approve.
But not the win you want. You have this cool win, and it's not that cool, in my opinion, at that point.
For sure.
I'm saying if it happens, though, it's in the record books. I don't want that way either. Trust me, I don't.
For sure.
But I feel good. I just got out of an Epsom salt bath. I'm well into my water load's done. I'm
How
ready
much
to
you weigh right now, Dustin?
probably like 205.
What do you think about the weight classes and how the TAL runs the weight classes?
What do you mean? Be more specific.
Do you feel that they do it right, or do you feel that they could do better?
Oh my God, it's amazing. It's like the best anywhere I've ever been. It's always exactly on point. Everybody makes weight. It's a big deal. It's not small peanut. Any place that like is like, oh yeah, it's okay. That's like a funzie league. That would be weird.
Yeah.
And those are cool. I think there's a place for the like the funzie festival and stuff like that. I know Oklahoma's coming for me, Heath. I love that. They're very exciting for me. Yeah. It'd be really cool if Willie comes and thunks Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, Willie is coming. So.
I know. So it's just, it's like he has such an interesting style that sometimes people get on the table with him and it's kind of like, oh, like, don't get it fooled just because he gets beat by a couple people. He's dangerous. It's very funny. I love it. I love to see him do well.
He's dangerous for any top roller that he pulls. Anybody that doesn't have a hook, it's a hard day for him.
Yeah, he can burn that top roll out pretty quick in that flop press.
Unless you built.
Well, you have to beat him off center. If you get stuck on his side of the table, and it's tough.
I've been in anywhere to take it. I understand very well.
Yeah.
I think that the TAL in terms of weigh-ins is probably it's the best. It's the standard. Why? It's what I would imagine anywhere you go would do.
Yeah.
What time? Weigh-ins are at 6, correct?
Early weigh-ins Friday 6 to 9, just as normal. Saturday, for everybody 9 to 11, and then for some of the open class pullers that are on point or don't have to make way to supers and stuff like that, there'll be a small weigh-in from 2 to 3 for those guys, and then
so open isn't full until after 3.
They won't start any earlier than 3.
Yeah, this will be the first time I'm not coming super early.
Yeah, and that's like my point, right? So you're going to come in Friday, right? And like I said, this is one of these things where you can make arguments on both sides, right? Oh, well, pros pull first. It's all about the pros. It's all about the pros. Well, like what Dustin was talking about earlier. Amateurs make up more than 50% of, or more, probably more like 60 or 70% of, your base.
Yeah.
So, saying that it's all about the pros, I get it with some promoters and stuff like that, but at the same token, I don't know. You could do it either way.
So let me do some devil's advocating, because I've been in this quite a bit, especially as one of the guys that probably is the most vocal coach. I want to come in and perform first, early after breakfast. I want to get my day done, and I want to cheer all my guys on, right?
Sure.
That would be ideal for me. I am not saying that's the best way to do it. I'm saying it would be ideal for me personally. I think from an athlete perspective, if I was just the athlete in this comp on Saturday, I'm just the athlete. I'm coming in to take care of me. I have a lot this year, more than any. I will come in later. I'll enjoy a great big breakfast, and then I'll probably have a nice lunch before I come stumbling in there to start taking names and warming up. So I think as an athlete, it's done a really great way. But I also, the other side of this coin, I've spent a lot of time talking about seeding with airs.
Yeah.
And Aries to do a seeding where you just put all the class, there's one class, and it's properly seated. That is a beautiful way to run things. Everybody would get so much pulling in. Man, I think that's the future. I hope that's a conversation we bring up before states next year, or me and you find ourselves at a tournament where they're doing it and we sit back, analyze it a bit, and talk about it. I think that there's a lot of fun to be had there.
Don't get me wrong.
Go to any tournament ran by Travis Bagent and you'll have that experience.
Yeah, that's a seating by weight.
Yeah,
well, same thing.
That's not even close to what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah.
Seating by airs and seating by weight, I like
You're talking more along the lines of like Colorado State, right?
Absolutely. I watched it done there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm the guy who wrote the seating for people because they didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
I
an experience. Really, really interesting.
I think I think we're on the way to that being the future.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's very cool. And then the debate becomes like, do you run top against bottom, or how you run the seating is very interesting. I really think that the two best guys should probably pull each other first.
That's the thing is in the traditional seating, your top guys will have their easiest matches first right out of the box.
Yeah, and I don't think in this particular sport it's the way to run it because of what we all want to see.
Sure.
You want to see the two best guys square up and not square up. One of them was already in a tussle.
Yeah. Yeah, freshest. And then so like in the seating that Corey's been doing, not the non-traditional, like Dustin's saying, you'll have your top guys will go immediately right out of the box first matches against the ratings that are closest to them. And then as they progress to the bracket, the matches will get easier and easier. It could be, So I think I'm all on board. I don't know if most people on like we're in group chats and stuff like that. Airs, I'm all on board with airs. So I think it's
cool. And when things are like that, talk about airs becoming real beautiful. That's when that whole system would really stretch itself out.
Yeah, it starts to blossom at that point.
Oh my God. It'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting the right promoters involved. We just need a good group of guys together. The Bill, Tim, yourself, Corey, and you get a good group that tries it and gets traction behind it. I think that's the future. It'll be really fun to see. There's so much room for this sport to grow in the tournament realm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I definitely agree.
And getting everybody under the same weight classes would be so cool.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like the weight classes, I know we've had that conversation, like you and I, why don't we do the weight classes in the middle and stuff like that? And I think that I'm not like set in stone on the weight classes, right? I think as growth happens and you get more people entering the classes and stuff like that, you may get to a point where you need to dilute them a little bit, right? And you do that by splitting the weight classes. So there's a reason why I think there's probably some good argument in different areas for like the 260 class.
Yeah, it's a pretty good argument.
Yeah. It just depends on where you're at, right? If you're typically having a supers category with on average 5 to say 9 guys, you don't want to split that class up.
No, of course not.
But if you're consistently having 15 plus guys in a class,
I think
maybe
that especially your open should be the same in America. So guys travel and pull have the ability to know what they're doing year round. Those weight classes really matter who's doing what.
Sure.
Well, it's the same thing. It comes down to like, we need to add more women's classes. We need to add more lighter men's classes. The problem is the people just don't show up.
Oh, I don't.
If you
adding more classes.
I'm saying though, like if you add classes, then you're going to have X person and Y person being like, why aren't we adding this class? Why aren't we adding this class? Oh, we need to have this class. This person needs a class. The problem is, ultimately, the issue is people don't show up for tournaments anymore. Tournaments, arm wrestling is not as prestigious as it once was. It has become secondhand to everything else now.
Yeah, I think the product of the WAL and East First West being the most popular ways to enjoy arm wrestling at this. And then where we're giving birth to what the future should be. And this is what it should look like when you go arm wrestle.
We just got to keep building it, guys. Tournament arm wrestling will come back.
It's like it's like it has to get hand in hand. Some guys will have super matches at tournaments. I really think you need to have both. The sport should absolutely have both.
So this
Yes.
is my opinion, and it might be a controversial one, but tournament arm wrestling is not going to come back until every tournament has a payout. That's the only thing that's going to motivate people to come out and pull is money, because you're not going to waste $200, $300, $400 to go somewhere to pull and not make any money back.
I don't agree with that at all. I think, but I see where you're coming from, but I don't agree with that at all. But I also think that if you isolate tournaments in central locations, like was talked about tonight, where people will go because they love the sport, they want to compete. It's how they learn how to get better. That's how they get better. They're going to go do it. Just, if it's easier, Texas is so big, it's kind of hard to.
No, I don't disagree with you saying that at all, Trayton. And Billy and I have had this conversation. I don't know how many times we've had this conversation about it being centralized, like state being centralized and not going to here to here to here to here to here to here. Because, yeah, to me, it's like I understand the following through with what was originally set in place, but like for me, like I can guarantee that a lot of people aren't going to travel 8, 9, 10 hours by car to go places that there's not any financial gain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I like to get paid at a tournament way more than I like a trophy.
I think there's an easy solution for that, in my opinion. But I think most promoters aren't going to be willing to do it.
Well, what's the easy solution?
For me, it's pretty simple. Like, no. My thing is like, okay, let's say your entry fee is $30, right? Everybody pays 40. That extra $10 goes into the pot in your weight class. Winner of your weight class takes the money. Everybody's getting then you have a payout at every single tournament, whether for every pro class, left and right.
I could get behind a version of that.
And you could divide the money. Top 2 get paid. But there, like I said, there has to be, in order for pros, especially to travel for tournaments. I'm not talking amateurs. Amateurs need to travel to as many as they possibly can to get their reps in.
No one's traveling for $60.
Right? But I'm saying though, if they can show up and be like, oh, there's going to be 12 people in my class, I can walk away with, or you raise it up, put $20 in a pot, whatever. I'm just saying, like, there's going to have to start being payouts that are worthwhile. Like Texas State is a worthwhile payout. You go there, you win your class left and right, walk away with $1,000. Right.
Well, that's the long-term goal of the league, right? Is to make sure that we're continually building state up to the biggest, baddest event around, and including the amateur classes there, which aren't paid out. But the amateur league is a stepping stool to get to the next level, and those are the again, we covered that those are the things that help pay for the things that we need to put on tournaments and have a league, refs and bracket people and everything, but yeah, it'll come back. We just have to keep building it. We just have to keep having the new people come in, and it has. Look at the growth that we've had around the state just this year. Look at Austin. Look at San Antonio. Look at North Texas and what we're doing up there. You just have to get the right guys in the right places, building the right teams. And then another thing that you can encourage people to do is, like I know Dustin's doing this and Trayton with their flash pan stuff, they'll call up and try to drum up a match between this guy and that guy. Two evenly ranked guys are pretty close. And yeah, that does get them fired up.
Yeah, encourage.
Oh, go ahead.
I think that's a big one. Like encouraging guys to pull events. That's what the sport's about. Like, let's go compete. Showing up and just pulling, like if you just come in the garage and do some training, I wouldn't consider you an arm wrestler, right? Like you got to get out there and do it. Encouraging guys to be refs, I think, is a really fucking massive deal.
Huge thing.
I think there's room for both too on it. Like there's room for
both. Yeah.
The style that Flashpin's doing, and there's room for what the league's doing. And I think they both can complement each other quite well.
I think that's the whole key, right? That's the movement. The movement is to create something that complements Poland and keep it hot. Keep both of them hot. because things have a way of getting stale if they don't keep moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a and speaking of that, so here's just a off the wall deal. Hypothetical. We get rid of all payouts at Texas State, and we get rid of all awards, and we go to nothing but straight payouts for regional. Or let's say we keep Texas State, but it wouldn't be as high, right? Let's say we get rid of all awards for regionals, and we just go with payouts.
I mean, I think it varies. I think you have to, if you're going to do that, it has to be tournament size pending, right? Like if you go up, let's say North Texas, East Texas, West Texas, it doesn't matter, and you have 50 guys there, why are they going to get the same amount of payout as a tournament where there's 300 or 400? I think payout should be dictated by the number of people that are attending your event.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but that's the whole thing, right? Is
How do you advertise for it?
we're trying to encourage people to come to the event. So
no, I
if
don't
we're only
disagree, but I'm
focusing-
saying like if you say let's Joe Blow in the middle of nowhere tournament, right? And there's 30 people show up. Like, okay, yeah. Nobody showed up. Okay, you can do payouts based upon the 30. But if you go to like a Central or a Southern and 400 people show up, then you're obviously going to have more paydays, a bigger payday.
Yeah.
And I think that would be more intriguing to people. I mean, I think it's still going to be a struggle to ask people from like West Texas to travel all the way to the other side of East Texas, and East Texas vice versa to West Texas.
Well, and see, and this is the thing. This is TAL, right? This is the whole thing, the whole premise of TAL. And as much as I love to see guys, go to the other regionals and compete and stuff like that, really the idea behind TAL is this. Every region has a regional qualifier for the people in that region, that locality, to have an opportunity to compete, to sharpen their skills, everything like that. And then at the end of the year, Texas State is the bang, right? So at the end of the day, we want don't get me wrong, we want all our events to be huge. But at the same token, if everybody does what is supposed to happen, right, then the plan works. If we go northern region, those guys get that opportunity once a year to pull in that TAL event, sharpen their skills, do whatever. And then at the end of the year, we all focus on Texas State. We all attend Texas State. It's 400 or 500 entries, and boom, we're done.
But you can't have a qualifier. You can't advertise for a qualifier and say, well, depending on how many people show up, there might be a payout, there might be not, but hope you guys come.
I think that
you can't do that. Like, you have to be able to say, like, there's awards. We want you to be here. Please, do the thing, whatever.
I think Nathan's saying a bit more than that. I think he's saying that, like, if it was advertised like, hey, part of what you pay per arm will be going towards the open class, I think that does encourage, like, I would be pretty fucking excited about it.
Sure.
I am at this point going to those events because I'm sharpening my teeth. I'm just
right.
Like here's my thing, right? Here's how I see it. If I'm gonna go to an event and I'm gonna pay $50 plus to pull, and I'm gonna get a little medal, I don't want to go to that event. Like, I don't care. What does that award get me? Really,
but Nathan, on that though, that's silly. Look at the math. You got to do the math on the. I mean, if you have a class and you only got 6 or 8 guys in it,
I was trying to use an example.
Or even 4 or 5 guys, or whatever. 2 guys.
I'm saying if I go to an event and I pay $50 to pull, I want there to be a monetary value. I don't want just a medal. Is what I'm saying.
As a pro.
So what do you want to do? You want to take the $80 for the 2 guys that were in the class, and then how's the promoter supposed to pay the refs and the everything?
No.
else?
So what you do? So like, let's say you do keep it. You're completely missing my point here, Dustin. So let's say you increase your entry fee, right? And people are like, oh, don't increase entry fees, yada yada yada. Like TAL runs a $30 entry fee right now, right, Billy? So okay, let's say let's say you hypothetically increase it to $50. Well, you're still getting your 30 that you've been getting the whole time. Now you're just increasing the fee, and now $20 goes into a pool for weight classes. So you're not losing anything as a promoter and or anything to pay out for state or to buy your awards or anything else. You're just intaking more. Yeah, see, Trey, 50 isn't anything.
You
See, look at that.
little less, like you raise it to 50, you put 30 from each person into the arm, you have 20, but you're no longer buying medals.
I can tell you right now, guys, raising the rates. I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand in multiple tournaments. You raise the rates on the tournaments, your entries drop. And so maybe you had a guy that was pulling previously when you had $30 entries. Maybe he was pulling 3, 4, 5 classes.
Okay, we'll do this then. Don't increase your amateur classes. Amateur classes stay the same. You only increase the pros. Pros get payouts. Amateurs don't. I'm telling you, pros will be more apt to come to events if there's going to be payouts.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's just the money's not there yet. At least not here.
Well, this is a really big conversation I was having with somebody the other day. We're getting there, and I think the one good thing about these the East versus West, the King of the Tables, and stuff like that. The one good thing they're doing, because I think they think, in another offshoot opinion, I think they're doing things for the sport that they really aren't doing. But the one good thing I think they are doing is they are getting arm wrestlers accustomed to spending money on the sport, whether that be to view it, to participate in it, to attend it, something like that. And then so as arm wrestlers, the community gets used to doing what every other sport does, right? No matter what we do, we all played sports. Most of us, I'm sure every one of us played sports in high school and elementary and all that other kind of stuff, maybe even further than that. Sports, a real sport, you spend a lot of money to participate in just regular.
So much more than this sport.
Everybody pitches in. Everyone pitches in.
Yeah.
If you're a part of it, everybody pitches in.
So I think as time goes on, and I'm not like just to pull the Band-Aid off. Let's just, let's increase it to 50. I think incremental steps. When we first started off, we started at 25. Now we're at 30. Texas State, even though it's got the payouts that it does, probably could easily justify $50, but we're at 40, and I think
I'm just using it as an example, like as a generality,
absolutely,
right?
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, like, if you typically are doing things off 30, right, and you increase your pros to 50, you're not losing anything. Amateurs are still going to pull. Amateurs will pull multiple classes. Pros will be opt to pull more multiple classes because they're like, let's use Corey for an example. Corey shows up to an event and goes, hell, if I pull 76, 98, 20s, 42s, and supers, I pull 10 classes. I got, $500 in there, and I can walk away with all the money and go home. People like that are going to be more apt to pull because they're making money. They're not.
It
just
is
losing
debatable.
money.
It is a debatable. Like
you
saying that they're not losing anything is very debatable. I just want to throw that out there. That's very.
No, I understand, but I'm saying
where you're coming from, but that's like.
If you look at like the peak of arm wrestling tournaments, when was the peak of arm wrestling tournaments? You're talking like in the 90s where there were payouts for every event and every arm wrestler was showing up because there was money available.
Yeah, the big push is sponsorships, right? Figuring out how to get more of that, getting the community, like if Texas as a community got involved with finding sponsorships for Texas State, like in Flashpin, this is something we talk about, is sponsorships are everywhere. It just takes beating down the right doors to get them. And there's a lot of money that could be raised for things like this for sure. That would change the whole game. But we'd have to, as a community, would definitely have to be more involved. And I am not here raising my hand and saying I'm the guy to kick down doors. I'm the guy to kick down doors.
Sign him up, Billy. Sign him up. We got a new sales.
Hey, I've had this conversation with Dustin before. A lot of great ideas, but he's like, "Look, I'm not the guy. There's a lot of things I will break my back for you for.
Trey's
but there
got
are
a
some
good point.
things that I'm just not gonna do."
Trey has a good point there. Like, if you don't raise your fees, create a membership. That's not a bad
1
idea.
1,000,000%.
Like I said,
I've thought about that.
I just think, I understand, like, like the sport is catered to amateur arm wrestling because amateurs do bring in the bulk of your income. But at the end of the day, if you want more pros to show up and pull events that, coming from out of state and stuff like that and have better competition, eventually everybody, including every promoter, is going to have to start doing some type of viable payout in order to entice people to show up to their events more.
Another thing on that too, on that we were talking earlier, there are a lot of a lot of us were fortunate, right? We, a $50 entry fee is nothing for most of us here, but for a lot of folks, it is an issue. It is a problem. Typically, you're younger guys that maybe you're, in your entry level positions or whatever, and they're still trying to figure out how to pay for just getting there, let alone.
I think you're wrong. I think they still afford to go have drinks on Friday.
Yep.
I think that like real athletes.
Well, keep in mind different communities too. Like have different. They have different kind of average pay. Aside from being low. I mean, I see what you're getting at.
I think it's less than a night out with your boys, and it's a night out with the boys.
Maybe in Austin, but maybe not so much in a smaller community.
No, I agree with I agree with D Woody. I think it's about priorities and dedication.
I mean,
right?
if you go to a bar, you're paying $6 a beer. You have 3 bears. There's your extra $20 for your entry fee.
Yeah,
well, I think a lot of guys that'll stay home and drink though, and not go to a bar because they can't afford it. You know what I mean?
But they're drinking alcohol. They bought the bottle of alcohol.
Well, and those aren't
when they buy a bottle of alcohol at the store, it's a whole lot less than buying it at a bar. That's one of
but
you got to look at the bigger.
You're debating the pennies instead of the point.
Yeah, there's a bigger picture.
I understand your point. I understand your point. You're saying that they should be able to come up with it either way, and sacrifice or whatever.
Well, I mean, within reason. I mean, we're not.
We don't all make I don't know, 6 figures or whatever.
You don't even have to make. I don't make 6 figures, and I can afford a $50 entry fee. And
I don't make 6 figures.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at it from one perspective, and like you're looking at it from the amateur perspective, and I mean, I'm looking at it from the pro perspective.
It has an effect on the events when you raise rates. It does have an effect. I can just tell you that from my own experience in the events I've been involved in.
I mean, I was at Arizona State this past year, and there were 300 plus entries, and it was $50 an arm. So,
sure,
and there was no payout.
And Arizona State's been quite an established event for quite a while.
I understand, but I'm saying like if you go to any of Sean's PAL events, it's $50, and he's averaging 100.5 entries per event. And Mississippi and stuff. I mean, I'm just saying, like
we could very well be there at the juncture where maybe it is time to.
I mean, you have to look at who you're wanting to attract to. Here's my thing, right? I get what you're saying, but you have to look who you're wanting to attract. Are you wanting to attract the people in bars that are just like wanting to be your average everyday,
no
garage puller? Okay. Well, then if you're wanting to attract good people to the sport, good people are going to come and they're going to pay more money to pull good people. They don't care about pulling Joe Blow from the bar down the street.
I'm just saying.
I got another idea, a weird idea. Just want to throw it out into the universe.
Let's do it.
What if, and let me ramble for just a minute. Give me the attention for a minute. What if you get a Billy Ortegas on board with the TAL, and you get a Bill Collins on board with the UAL, and you get Tim on board with Arm Sports, and you get whoever else, a 98 group on board, and all of those fall under a single umbrella, and let's just call the umbrella Aries, right? There's an Aries umbrella. They're all promoters within that umbrella. Flashpin jumps under that umbrella, and the way you can go and compete at these different things is as a member of Aries. So you pay a yearly due or a monthly due, whatever, to become a member. You get a discount at all those promoters under that banner's tournaments. And Aries selects an event from each of those promoters, helps them schedule with each other, and pours money from the memberships into those winners of those events to help back them.
I mean, isn't that what kind of Corey and them are doing right now with the 64 mans?
I mean, I'm saying that's Aries
Well,
doing
not
its
really.
own little thing, its own little tournament that it makes
Yeah.
for one class, which is cool. But that would be Aries giving back to the Billies and the Tims, and the Tims giving back to Aries by helping that grow, doing seated events, helping that grow. That's like a one big badass motherfucker in North America of a steamroller that really could advertise for each other, get this out there, and you stop having the guy who drinks alone in his living room, and you start getting athletes involved because the money gets right.
That's what I was saying. I mean, you and I said the same thing about athletes, Dustin. Like, I understand like you're wanting to grow arm wrestling, but if you're growing arm wrestling with the wrong people, are you really growing the sport, or are you hindering the sport? You're absolutely hindering the sport, in my
Well,
opinion.
I
When you
mean,
have
it
these,
depends.
when you like, I'll give you a great example. Right, we were at a practice not long ago at a bar in a back room, and some drunk asses stumbled back there, mouthing, "I'll take on anybody in here for any amount of money," yada yada yada. And what's going to happen if they get on the table with somebody who knows what they're doing? They're going to get hurt, plain and simple. Because if you're going to be
Well,
talking that big with money on the line, no arm wrestler is going to take it easy on you. They're going to hurt you.
here's the thing, though. We need it. So, like those particular types of people, no. I mean, that's obviously not good for the sport, right? But like me and Laughlin have had this conversation quite a bit. Is you need dedicated athletes, right, to the sport, and you also need hobby pullers, right? There's going to be people that are just hobby pullers. They don't want to compete at events, but they love to come out, practice. They practice a little bit, right? They come out, they work out. Yeah. And these are the type of people that are going to support you in other different ways, right? They're going to buy these pay-per-views or something like that. They're going to subscribe to your channels and stuff. So I think there's a place for both the hobbyist and the true dedicated athlete.
Well, I think most of your hobbyists are your average amateur puller, right? I mean, like most amateur pullers
Here's the thing. We have some people in San Antonio that love arm wrestling, but just won't compete.
I think that's okay. Fans are great.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Saying, like, I think if you want to grow events, like it goes back to this. If you want to grow events to where more viable names are coming to your events and you're getting better competition at your events, I'm talking as a general statement, not Texas in general, you're going to have to put money at every event in order to attract people to come.
No, you don't know. I don't think you always have to put money, Nathan. I think there's times when you can get, like Dustin Poles is already starting to get guys looking to go after him. Some of our other guys. Dustin wasn't in the sport, 3, 4, 5 years ago or whatever it was, right? I mean, thank you. And so it's not just about money. It's
okay. Okay, I have a question. Dustin, here's a question for you. If one of those guys wants to come after you and they want to match with you, what are they going to have to put up to get that match with you?
Well, they could meet me.
That's all on you, potentially.
I'm saying if there's something, if they're wanting to pull, obviously there's going to have to be something to gain, right?
There's a whole lot of variables there. I mean, depending on the situation, you could say yes. I see you're getting.
Yeah.
You're going to say I want to put up money.
Put it this way: I'd rather show up. I'm driving all the way to Lubbock. I would go pull it for no dollars. Number one, because I'm going to have defended my title 3 years in a row. I want that. That's the chip on my shoulder. Number one. But I'm different. I would be way more inclined to go pull for money. I'm all about it. Let's go.
I understand. Yeah, I mean, money is a factor.
Money's a factor. There's no doubt. But I mean, it's only going to be 5% of us touching money.
Yeah. Hey, Nathan, answer me this: we've had how many tournaments with no payouts, and what's our turnout been at those events?
Certain events have been good. Certain events have. I mean,
all pretty good, considering.
I can name some of them that have been under 100, which is not good.
All things considered, with everything going on at those times, and competing events and different.
There's been events this year that were under 100.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe
so-
that was going on.
I think there's two different conversations going on here because I think we're hitting two different things, right? There's
hold on,
there's the
Dustin,
polar side of it.
yeah, but hold on, Dustin. You think I'm attacking TL? I'm not. I'm speaking it as a
no.
generality.
No, not at all.
No, you're saying how many tournaments had bad turnout. I'm not. I don't care about a tournament having bad turnout. What I'm saying is, if you want to appeal to more people, and I'm talking more people to come in for tournaments, I'm talking in every state. People are gonna have to start putting money on the line. It can be Texas, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, fucking Alaska, Hawaii. Like people are going to travel if there's money on the line.
Money can be a motivator. I'm just saying the only thing I'm saying on it, it's not the only motivator. It's not the only thing that's going to get them to come in the door. When we had that John Brzezinski matchup, we got more people in the door. When we had Sarah Bachman, we got people to come. When we had
another big deal, that Aries brings to the table, especially for someone like me who's a competitive athlete, is there's numbers coming now. Like Adrian Morrison wants to come pull. Great. You outrank me. I want that shit. I want those points.
Give me that.
Give me that. Let me see that smoke.
Yeah,
right? I'm
absolutely.
all about that. Now it becomes way more of a league because we have a rating system in play. The only way you're getting me to play Overwatch, the video game, is because I can get my way into Diamond.
I gotta go. Dogs me to take.
Right, but working my way through something, navigating my path to be victorious is a major part of being an athlete.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like what I was saying before. I think there's two conversations going on here with the money thing, right? Because with some promotions you can say, okay, well, you're getting, they're charging X amount. So you got the pullers aspect of how much they pay compared to what they take home, right? And then you have, I think, the promoter aspect, right? So I've got to balance buying awards and doing all this other kind of stuff. And D Woody, you're starting to see all this with Flashpin, right? You've got a ton of expenses, and then you got to figure out, okay, well, what is it going to cost me for the athlete, right? So it's like, okay, so just simply increasing, I could say, okay, cool, I'm going to increase TAL's entry fees to $50, and I'm going to add an aspect to that, okay? But then the question as a promoter is that should I be paying the people that are helping me more, right? Is what I'm paying them.
I don't think that's a big question. I think that's an easy answer is no, you don't pay them more because you're all under the same mission. And the mission is what are we going to now bring to this tournament that's different?
Sure.
What value do you give me when you raise my pay? I now pay you $100. Now, if John Brzezinski's going against Dimitri in that tournament, that's another thing that's really cool. We know it worked. I mean, God, that States was crazy.
Yeah.
Hundreds and families and really.
Well, but I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is I think as a promoter, I realize that you do have to pay people like to a particular extent. Otherwise, their drive for that main goal varies, right?
100% you have to pay people. Couldn't agree more. Yes.
So that's my thing is like, okay, yeah, we could just increase entry fees and we can do all kinds of stuff. But
I think
how do I balance that?
You make those raises with an already in place balance sheet, and your balance doesn't change when you make those raises. You don't rebalance like refs get paid this, venue costs this, I raise this. My refs are not going to suddenly provide more value, but maybe I could put more value into the venue and get a better venue, right? I think that those are the things you have to think about. And as individuals, especially in your experience, you have other people on a board, that should be an open conversation.
Yeah.
But maybe with the people getting handed money is who that conversation has to be had with.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's about. I mean, I think there's a balance there.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's about value, right? We got to figure out the value.
That's one thing. Sponsorships, and it was definitely something that I wanted to get and do better on this year, and I didn't. I've dropped the ball on that for the league myself. I also got a little bit tied in are a little bit over focused on trying to get some of these new teams started. We did get Wichita Falls going. We got Amarillo going last year.
Hey, Dustin, a note on that might be a cool idea for the TAL is maybe saying something like, hey, if you link us up with someone who then becomes a sponsor of the TAL, this is what we give you.
Sure.
If they give us $1,000, all your tournaments this year are free.
Well, and that's kind of what I was getting around to a little bit in that one thing, like we talked about earlier, Trayton, the public practices. I've developed a really good relationship with a couple different venues around here, and actually statewide. It can be difficult to continue to maintain. They go through management changes and things like that, and that typically tends to throw a wrench in the situation. But having those relationships, like when we go into, for example, Bombshells the first Friday of every month, unless there's a tournament, the first Friday of every month, we're at Bombshells in San Antonio from 6 to 9 p.m. And they appreciate that. And so when we go back to them and we ask them, hey, would you mind sponsoring state? They love, for one, most places that can accommodate would love to have state. They love it because it's a huge opportunity for them. It's a nice revenue generator for them. But on top of that, where I've been having our team of, maybe a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen folks come out. And sometimes, the family members and different things, it's been more. They appreciate that very much so. And it makes it very easy typically for me to go to that owner or that manager and say, hey, I need you to help us out with some trophies. I need you to help us out with paying our refs or whatever. And usually we don't have any issues with some of that, Of course, like I said, things change and move and grow. And so you have to constantly be on it and developing those venues and those relationships with those business owners.
For
And
sure.
it could be much more than just venues too, right? It could be like some of these other customers, like you're saying. And Billy had talked about some of our sponsors. What's the new one we have this year? It's a supplement, no? Billy.
I'm sorry. What are we talking about?
The supplement for the new sponsor this year for state.
You talking about the one in Lubbock?
Or was it Gaines or something?
Oh, yeah. Gainiac Nutrition. No, that Gainiac's been a reoccurring sponsor for the northern region and now state that it's states up in the northern region. So they've been, I don't know, probably at least maybe a 3-year sponsor by now.
So it's definitely something that we're very, very appreciative of, and we've got to find ways to make sure that we're showing our appreciation and I don't think sponsors will continue to just throw out money if you're not sort of reciprocating some way, if you're not getting them business or not.
Well, I think all of that should be in contract when you get a sponsorship.
Yeah.
You should figure out what expectation is, and maybe contract pitching shouldn't be done like, hey, maybe you can help us with this, but be done like, this is the amount of viewership we have on this type of social media. And that's another thing when you partner under something bigger like an umbrella like Aries, and you have Arm Sports Entertainment and everybody has all these viewerships, you're all feeding into each other, and that rising tide really does rise all ships, especially when I'm going to a place and I'm like, hey, an affiliate of yours is working with Tim over in Arizona and they do this event. Have you heard of it? And you got that information from being connected to them, and Tim gave it to you, and now you're over there doing it. And he's like, yeah, I know exactly who that is. He's been involved with them for a while. You guys do something similar? Yeah, we actually do it here in Texas. And then you start feeding off each other so that we could lift this up. I think that's a major move. Less handshakes and more paper on signature.
Yeah. Well, I think with some promoters, and look, it's nuts, man. The promoter game right now is crazy. And
it is.
This is not throwing shade at anybody because I've only been in it for a little while and a lot of promoters have been in it a lot longer. But, we tried to do something as simple. Like I created a group chat with Corey and Frank for Texas. And I was like, look, I'm getting people calling me, messaging me, talking about airs and this and that. I'm just going to put this group together. That way I can just send all this stuff here. And either you and Frank can fix it, do whatever. So Corey was like, hey, not a bad idea. Why don't I just throw all the other promoters in here? It lasted 2 minutes. Because, some promoters have been at this game a lot. They rubbed each other the wrong way. Some promoters had blocked each other so they couldn't see. Some promoters left the chat. And
that's
it's
why you have, when you build under one umbrella, right? Not just a chat, but an actual umbrella where it's like in the office, right? We're all in this office right now and we're under the TAL banner and we're all getting along. And we all vet who comes into this office right now. Right? Like there's people that couldn't come into this chat right now. You'd be like, we're not dealing with that. The same thing once you have a good group of guys under a single group, under a single banner, you all could talk about, hey, what do we think of what Laray's doing? Man, I love Laray. He's doing some great stuff. Maybe we should talk to him about getting involved. And once everybody in there that's currently involved is like, yeah, absolutely. And what I'm saying is obviously easier said than done, but I really think these are steps in the right direction.
Yeah. And I want to throw in and ask you guys real quick while we're on the subject of something you were talking about earlier, Dustin, Poles, is that what can the community of arm wrestlers do better to help support their promoters? This is a real big topic of discussion with Flashpen, and it's what can the athletes do better, or what can the teams of Texas do better to help support their league, Texas Arm Wrestling League, and help generate more people, build up more people, recruit more people, that sort of thing. What is it that people can do better to
I have
that atmosphere?
A little bit of this, Dustin, if you want. Dustin, he was asking you, Dustin, but if you want, I can answer a few of these.
No, he
was asking everybody.
Oh, okay. One of the, obviously, anytime you can financially support that business for whatever it is that they do, and make sure that they know that you're doing that. Hey, I saw you on the Texas Arm Wrestling League. Thank you for supporting the league. Thank you for supporting arm wrestling, whatever, right? Another thing, just tagging them in. Hey, I went to an arm wrestling tournament. Thank you, sponsors, for Gainiac Nutrition or whoever it is, right? Combat Arm Sports or whoever. Tagging them helps. Talking about them, right?
And even promoting yourself, right? Just as an athlete or a pro arm wrestler, promoting yourself and saying, there's a lot of things that arm wrestlers, one of which I'm thinking of, like Todd Hutchings, that there's weight that they can move in ways that 99% of people cannot do. Yeah. Whether you're interested in moving the weight that way or not is whatever, but there's things that arm wrestlers can do that a lot of people can't do.
Yeah.
And that makes you unique in being an arm wrestler. It's special. You should promote yourself. And when you have places like Flashpen Productions, for instance, when they're trying to bring somebody on and they want to put you on for a match, what have you done? What have you done? Who have you pulled? How active are you is a question that's been brought up. And tagging, just being involved in the sport publicly, socially, is a huge benefit. And I want to stress that to everybody that's involved in the sport. Just socially being active and sharing what you're doing helps tremendously in spreading the word and getting more people involved. And I think that more views, we saw it with Devin Larrett, controversial subject on the last event. Whether that was the right thing to do. Yes. Yeah. Whether Devin did the right thing or not is besides the point. It's going to generate more people looking at what's going on. And that is what we need from top down and bottom up.
Yeah.
The whole I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff like Adam's comment here, we've run into that. We've run into where we've discussed with venues, hey, we're going to bring, 250, 300 people in here, like Laughlin was saying, cover this, cover that, a percentage of sales, stuff like that. And it doesn't always happen. It doesn't always happen. I think if I can remember correctly, we might have gotten 3 or 4 sponsorships since TAL's been in existence from venues.
Yeah,
Say that again, Billy.
I said we may have gotten, as far as any significant deal since the TAL's been in existence, I can probably remember only about 3 or 4 times that we got actual monetary sponsorship from venues.
Do you have kind of a dollar amount you're basing that on, or?
No, but anything more than, a couple $100,
Oh, we've had more sponsors than that.
No, we haven't. I'm talking about from venues.
Oh, okay.
From venues. So you would think that the idea that I'm going to bring 300 people into, your establishment is going to, would trigger some kind of,
challenge. Yeah, a lot of venues want to charge you. And in fact, depending on where you're at, almost all of them want to charge you. Houston's one of the issues we have up there all the time is a lot of those venues up there, they want to actually charge you to bring them customers. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, no, I can make sense of it if I have a busy establishment.
Well, sure.
Take up this much room.
Sure.
And I don't think all of you are going to eat. I would have a problem with that.
Sure.
Well, see, here's the thing. You hit the nail on the head because I've been saying this for a while now, and I was one of those guys, right? I thought if I can get 300 people in the door and have them, and we're going to have them there for 6-7 hours, right? Then you're going to make, and quickly I realized that you could possibly, a good establishment on a busy day could lose money on an arm wrestling tournament.
Sure. Yes.
And the reason is because, like you just said, you get there at, say, 11 o'clock, the restaurant
all
open.
Day.
And you're there all day. You only eat one time. They could have turned that table that you've been sitting at for 6 hours over 4, 5, 6 times by now.
Yeah.
So it's not always a tit for tat.
Yeah.
We have had venues that are really slow, and some of those have actually reciprocated with sponsorship. But a lot of the average ones that are actually have some sort of business flux during the time, we're kind of taking up space,
which kind of goes back to Trayton's question. How can the Polar help the league, right? When you go to these venues and these places, order drinks, order food, eat, buy things,
And I think they are, but how many times are you going to eat in 6 hours? It's like,
that's the issue. The issue is we're there for a day.
But I also see a lot of people leaving, and I've been there myself. Leaving and not, going to eat somewhere else, or, when those dollars could have been spent there, you
have a great point. We all should be thankful for where we're at and, throw them some money, especially the girl whose section we took her whole section for the day.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got to tune her up for sure.
And I think we've done better with Billy's really done a good job at, I think, making sure we get the tournament knocked out. We start early, yes. We get out of there as early as we can, so they can get their evening, activities going in there, unbothered by the tournament.
Well, it's like Bombshells. Perfect example. Like on sometimes on Saturday nights they'll have UFC fight night. So I'm like, look, we've got it to a point now. We're going to be cleaning up when your nighttime clientele starts to come in.
Yeah, you guys do.
We're going to be gone. That way you're going to have all during the slow time. We're all going to be here. And then when your business picks up naturally because you're going to have a fight on, we're going to be walking out the door. And, so, that's the thing. We have gotten a monetary sponsorship from Bombshells, since we've been, dealing with them. We've gotten a couple, I know there was one out on, Lake Conroe They had we did a Lake Conroe tournament. That was a really cool venue. It was out on the lake. They had a restaurant and bar there, and it was like we made them more money that day than they make in 4 or 5 Saturdays. So
those are the kind of venues that have to be seeked out. And if you're
Yes.
a fan of arm wrestling and you come to these events, it'd be really cool if you just reached out to Billy and said, "Hey, I think I know the perfect place." And then, I mean, all you got to do is be at lunch one day with your family and say, "Can I talk to the manager real quick? I'm a professional arm wrestler. I just wanted to pick his brain about it.
Yeah.
I'm a manager. I'm coming out every single time to meet you. That's weird." Yes.
Yeah.
And then if you're not someone who could communicate rather high, then you can say, "Hey, I just wanted to get your information. I'm friends with the president of the Texas Arm Wrestling League, and I think this would be a really cool venue. You have an outdoor area out there that's covered, and I've been here 3 Saturdays in a row, and no one's ever out there. I
Yep.
think he could put 200 people under the pavilion." And that guy's going to go, "Here's my card. You're going to send it over to Billy via email, like an adult, and he can do all the talking for you, and probably would give you
Yeah.
kickback." Like the TAL could say something like, "Hey, if we ever land something through you, yeah, you compete for free that year." Whatever TAL.
Well, oddly enough, we kind of get the flip side of that, right? Is that we have a lot of people. I mean, look, we're in San Antonio, and we don't even know all the venues in San Antonio, right? There's still venues that we haven't discovered yet,
Of course.
and I wouldn't say very much, but compared to the rest of Texas, we don't know anything, right?
Yeah.
And so we get it all the time. "Oh, well, you guys got to do better. You got to pick another venue. I know this place over by the house." Well, god dang, my phone's been on. I hadn't missed a call from you.
This is the call to arms, guys.
Yeah. It's like, tell me all about it. Me and Dustin are racking our brains over here trying to find something in Houston. And, I know that there's these venues out there that you just can't find by searching them, right? People have to know where they're at. People have to know that there's this really cool venue that's got a dance floor with a big stage that you're not going to find pictures of online somewhere, So it's like, if you guys got it, throw us a bone. We'll research it and all that. But we run into that. We get complaints about venues, and it's like, throw me some ideas, man. I don't live in Houston. I don't live in Dallas. If you know some really cool places, throw them by me. Otherwise, we're trying to find what we can find.
Keep in mind, they got to be kid friendly, right? And they got to have enough parking. We've had parking issues in the past.
Yeah. I mean, there's parameters and stuff
really
like that, and
really good post for you to make, Billy.
Yeah, the kid friendly thing can always be worked around. We've worked around, age restrictions and stuff like that with other venues to particular times and stuff. So
these are good Instagram, Facebook post. "Hey guys, we're shaking the trees," and saying, "This is the type of venues we're looking for all across Texas. Let us know if you know somebody. These are the type of sponsorships we're working for. You might be working the counter at a place that might be able to scratch our back, and we can scratch theirs. This is what we offer, and this is what our viewership's like." And putting those kind of messages out into the world every month or so, I think is a great idea. Really simple. And even if you got 5 comments back and 3 of them turn into something, it's just
that's kind of another thing I've been trying to, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, I'm sure you've noticed some of my posts lately, is I've been trying to kind of up the engagement, on the page with everybody. And it seems to be, working pretty well. The posts that I've made, the one about the weigh-ins, stuff like that. Because I think, it's like, it's one thing that I don't want the TAL page to be something that's just another page where 300 other people spam random arm wrestling stuff. You know what I mean? So I've been working on that, and that seems to be going pretty well. But I need to do it more. It's just then again, I got to find more time.
You're not the only one that needs to do it more. I guess I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we have somebody showing up to this tournament coming up here November 16th, Saturday, Texas State Arm Wrestling Championship. It's going to be Dustin Hyatt is showing up to this. This is somebody that I would love. I mean, oh my God, I would love to see more out of. I would love to see more posts from him just in general. Like, what is this fucking kid doing to be so incredible? You hear his name, he shows up, it creates this whole thing. His dad's talking, it creates this whole thing. Everybody's talking about Dustin Hyatt showing up to Texas State. Incredible.
Yeah.
Nick Adams would be another one. What is he doing? What makes this guy just the arm wrestler that he is? What is he doing? I want to see more from Nick Adams. Ronnie Morales. I see maybe more from him than I do out of some people. But this guy is he is huge, so strong. I want to see more from the athletes too. You know, Nathan's talking earlier about how do we get, we got to pay them more. Well, it's got to be a two-way street too. It's got to be a two-way street. That's how
number one.
Well, that's a good point because Dustin's already made the decision to come here. And the only thing that I've heard out of that is a rumor that he was going to be here or at this next one. I totally agree with you that he doesn't put a whole lot out there himself. His dad puts a lot of the stuff out there for him. But
and he doesn't have to. He's at the top of the chain. And how old is he? 20 something. Real young. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like my point was going to be, so do we? Maybe we help that out.
Okay. Well, I got to go to bed. I'll catch you guys later. Frank,
take care, man. Uh-oh, your feelings here.
Frank, why are you
starting his new business?
In a sauna on a podcast, red light therapy.
Yeah. No, but I mean, there's all kinds of. I mean, these things are. I mean, these are all awesome conversations because they're all part of the picture, right? It's all part of the game.
Well, we should all just be together and unified, I think, is what Dustin has been getting at in this whole thing with this whole conversation with all the promoters, is that we need to be unified as arm wrestlers, as promoters, and the whole nine.
Look, this is what I was getting, and Frank is here now, and he can attest to this. That group chat didn't last 2 minutes, and all that group chat was for, and we even put a disclaimer in it. It was like, look, this is all this is for. If you have questions about the bracket system, issues, whatever like that, and airs updates and issues or whatever like that, that's the only thing that needs to be put. These people wouldn't even stay in the chat with each other.
Again, we talked about how to control that better.
Yeah.
Again,
if you've got so many promoters that just won't get on the same page with everybody,
you don't
even under one common goal, right?
You don't use them. You don't need everybody.
Well, I agree with that.
Right? Say if it was you and it was Tim, and then you and Tim said to Corey, hey, we know this promoter, Larray, and Corey's like, I've worked with him before. He's a great guy. Now you both agree, and Corey agrees. And Corey would be like a mediator as heirs. And Corey's like, yeah, we get him involved. Now Corey sends an invite, or you as his friend invite him, and he comes in, and now he says, I know a guy. And you guys can say, I don't think he's the right fit. And say that to Corey, and Corey is the voice of reason. Cool, he's actually not the right fit. It doesn't have to come from the person who feels that way. It can come from Corey as an unbiased voice and just say it, and it's God, and you can leave now. But we would just slowly grow. You don't need everybody. And that's really the biggest issue that we all have to get past together. We don't need everybody.
Corey says his ears are burning.
Right? We don't need everybody, but we need each other.
Yeah. Well,
I agree, Derek. You're right. There needs to be more of that.
As much as I'd love to continue these conversations, we've on about 2 hours so far, and I really haven't said much of what I wanted to say.
Get it out there, Billy. What else do we got?
Go ahead, Billy.
Let's talk about it.
So I'm just going to give it a crash course, right? And a lot of it's about Texas State, right? So obviously, as the banner says right there, November 16th, Lubbock, Texas. We got a great venue. We got the MCM Elegante. Big shout out to Corey Miller, established a relationship over there in Colorado. They have multiple locations in different places. And he gave me their contact. They've been great with us. You know, this is going to be by far our biggest venue, our best setup. You know, they've got just under 7,000 square foot conference room. We've got a 24 by 12 stage, seating for over 200. I mean, so much room. Everything's going to be spread out. Everything's going to be super relaxed. You know, restaurant, bar in the hotel, everything's there. You know, if you're staying at the hotel, you literally you show up on Friday and you don't have to leave till Sunday. You know, it's a one-stop thing. So big shout out to Elegante. I want to run through the sponsors real quick. So for Texas State this year, we've got one thing is Jimmy Slash, aka is his alias on YouTube and stuff like that, but it's Josh Belay. He is an ambassador with Cold Steel Knives and has donated a number of knives for raffles and prizes and stuff like that. Really, really, really good stuff. So go check him out on YouTube. Give him a like and a follow. We'll have probably 3 or 4 different packages that'll be up for a raffle of different knives. I know I got 2 of the biggest knives are going to go to the 275 class winners for some extra awards there. Our biggest sponsor is obviously Lubbock Sports. They're part of the sports commission there in the city of Lubbock, and they've been on board on all our events, all our regionals and everything like that. Every time we come, they sponsor. They've got Texas State. They're our biggest sponsor. They're like what would be considered our platinum sponsor for this event. They've been a huge help. They help us out with hotels and linking up with different people in the city and stuff like that. Another big sponsor, Circle 4 Utility Services. They've been a reoccurring sponsor for, I think, at least 3 years now. They've sponsored the Western and the Northern multiple times. Of course, our strap sponsor, Lion Straps. So
best strap in the game.
Yeah, I can't say anything else about it. I mean, we're not going to anything. We probably won't ever go to anything any different than that. So, big shout out to Lion Straps, Gainiac Nutrition, their local nutrition shop there in Lubbock. They will actually have a booth at the event with a bunch of products, stuff like that. So you'll be able to check them out. Magic Dragon Maker, Alvin Dunn from San Antonio, big supporter of TAL, San Antonio Arm Wrestling Association, Combat Arm Sports. This is kind of one of the guys that loves arm wrestling so much, tries to do as much as he can for arm wrestling, but we can't get the guy to compete. He just won't do it. Even though he's a good, he's
getting there.
He's a good puller. He practices every week and everything. Just can't get him to compete. But yeah, big shout out to him. Check him out, Magic Dragon Maker. He's got some new stuff coming out. Always looking to build new stuff. He's got a really cool handle coming out that I think everybody's going to like. So hopefully, and he's actually in the chat. Alvin, you going to have that new handle at Texas State?
He makes some very good stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And, really dedicated to the quality of it. You know, he wants all the feedback. So if you get a handle from him and something's wrong, something's off, it messes up or something like that, just hit him up. He'll do whatever he can to help fix it or help make it right. So, of course, our chalk sponsor, Primo Chalk. They are a Texas-based company as well. So it kind of fits hand in hand. Great chalk. We've been using them for, I think, about 3 years now. So Primo Chalk, obviously Combat Arm Sports, the only tables that TAL will ever use. Can't say anything else about them. We will have Combat. We'll have a booth there as well. We'll have a couple tables available for a discounted rate there. So hopefully, somebody wants to pick up an extra table, we'll have them there. We'll have extra pad sets. We'll have some extra covers for people that need to replace covers, stuff like that. Multiple Combat products there. Big shout out to Sean Hancock and Boom Arm Wrestling.
Boom.
he reached out to me shortly after we announced Texas State and was like, "Hey, I'd like to do this for Texas State." So, if anybody's not aware, they have a IFA North American Championship going down next year on March the 8th. So they're bringing that back. It will be in Las Vegas. And so for all the open class, first and second place, I have tickets. Let's see if I can get this in here right. I'm not going to be able to get it right.
Very cool.
I don't know if you can quite see it. Anyway, so first place, I'll get a free entry to that tournament, and second place gets 50% off entry. So and that'll be
for the state, right?
Yeah, for Texas State, first and second place, and just the open classes will get one of these tickets to the IFA North American Championship next year.
That's super cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Last but not least, Print Strong. It is a kind of a direct affiliate of Combat Arms Sports here in San Antonio with Dustin Laughlin and Carolina Laughlin, and they are they print banners. They do our Combat Arms Sports tops. So any promoters out there that might be watching this, or even if you're not a promoter and you just want a banner, you want a print of something, a high quality print, contact Print Strong. They can print it out for you. One of the great things that I like that Trayton has started doing with his photography, right? What's the name of the site there?
allshoworiginals.com.
Yeah.
So we have everything from not everything, but most of 2023, the qualifier state, that we have states from, I think, 2022 as well into 2024, and then we'll be there for states this year as well.
Billy, can you share that link in the chat?
I'll have to dig it out right now if I can find it.
Or anybody else? I can't type in mine. I guess I didn't sign up.
Trayton, you can send it over.
What's that?
You could send that link over.
Yeah.
Yeah, just shoot the link over or put it on.
Yeah, if you got it. But yeah, all our tournaments are in there. And that's one cool thing about Print Strong is that if you get a really cool photo from one of our events taken by Nate or Trey, they can take that high quality photo and actually blow it up for you, make a big poster, make a big banner for you to stick in the gym or anything like that. So,
Frank, you should do that with the picture you have of me in your gym.
Why is Frank? Whoa, I thought I added Frank.
Are you wrestling a bull poles or what?
I have a bull.
No, there's two people who have earned themselves on my gym wall, and it's Michael Zamora and Dustin DeWoody.
Yep.
And Billy knows, but I got the one for Zamora printed out, real nice. Paid for it, got it. It's not quite 4K, but it's it's like a 27-inch wide photo. I laminated it. I kept it, framed it. It's Dustin's was printed off of like an old college printer that I went and just showed up to the lab at the local university, pretended I was a student, printed it off on like some index card, and I just stapled it to my wall. But it still counts.
Still counts, bro. Hey,
Still
I just
counts.
want to say about all those sponsors you got, anybody who gets to watch this and, going right back to what I was saying about how the community can help their local state grow is when you have someone like the TAL or the Florida League, or Bill Collins out in California or Tim. These sponsors are a utility company, a print company, chalk company. It's everything. It's not just fitness and it's not just I'm strong, but there's a lot of places that you might work right now that are looking to sponsor something like this because it's healthy for their company.
Well, James had a perfect example with his company. I think that was before you got on. He told us all about that.
Very cool.
Yeah. No Trey, no chat mods. This is my first time first time using StreamYard, so I'm still learning it, and we just got to start doing more lives, and then I can start adding some mods to it to help moderate the chats and stuff. But yeah, just send Laughlin a message if you want a banner printed up. You can get a hold of Dustin or Carolina, and yeah, we can get that. Yeah, Print Strong. You can look them up on Facebook and Instagram. They don't have a website, so you can't go there. But you contact them directly, tell them what you want, and they'll get you fixed up.
Yeah, she has a real nice printer, guys. It does beautiful prints, real beautiful. I mean, you've seen all the tops, and it's really nice.
Yep.
Well, TAL, I love you guys. I got to get that sleep on. You have a great day. I'll see you guys in the States. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yep.
Well, this was a really good live, Billy. I think these you can do more often and talk about honestly the same sort of things you talked about and just cycle through people in the community. Because I think a lot of people don't know all the things, even myself included. I don't always know everything that's involved that goes on behind the scenes of an event. And I think sometimes arm wrestlers come off as a bit entitled, and they'll, kind of demand certain things. They want certain things. And, I think that they, at the end of the day, the margins aren't that big. And it's, I think it's good to share that, have some transparency in what it takes to run an event and the ideas you have moving forward to grow the sport in Texas. And I think that's a good approach to start with Texas, start with what you can control. And, that's your contribution to the sport. You on your own probably cannot grow the sport in the United States or in the world, but you can grow it in Texas like nobody's business. And it's a fantastic start.
Yep. No, I agree. And I think that's part of the conversation that needs to be had, that like you just said, that isn't happening. It might happen through messages. You get a random message, it's like prime example. Someone, when we went to our Eastern qualifier, and that was the first East versus West qualifier that we had, right? Mm-hmm. We ended up that ended up being like a 240 something entry event, and it ended up being packed. The venue wasn't really the size wasn't great for the number of people we had there. And so somebody said, "Oh, well, you charged $50 an arm, and for X amount of entries, you got, you made like $8,000." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. I did make $8,000." And then I paid I paid for the East versus West qualifier. Yep. And then I paid the refs, and then I paid for the trophies, and then I paid for that. So that 8,000 turned out to be about $3,000 at the end of that. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, so you could have put more money into a venue. I could have, but then what happens on the backside of that?
Yeah. Right? What if you didn't have 300 show up, or however many it was? Yeah.
So, but I think that the conversations are extremely important, because I agree. I don't think that a lot of pullers truly grasp.
Well, also, Nathan's not here to defend himself, so it's not fair what I'm about to say. But about paying out all events, to grow the sport in Texas, I get that's my scope. I'm just talking about Texas. I fully comprehend the fact that qualifiers are just events to fund money for Texas State. And Texas State is the big payout, the big trophies, the big enchilada at the end of the year. And I do not expect payouts at a qualifier. In fact, as an athlete who competes regularly, I treat qualifiers as training camps. Like, I've been practicing a new move, and at this qualifier, I'm going to do my new move. I don't care who's in front of me. I'm doing the same thing every time, because it's my chance to get live rounds, doing my new thing. And it doesn't really mean anything. It's not Texas State. It's not some huge thing. It's a qualifier that's probably within 2 or 3 hours from me, which is close. I think 3 hours is close. and I'm just going to compete, just like Dustin was saying earlier, just to test myself, just to get those reps in, just like anybody else would. It's a sparring camp, it's a live sparring camp, and I wouldn't expect money at those events. And I understand the importance of hosting those events on a budget so that you can pay $10K out at Texas State. And I don't know how anyone could argue with that. And I also don't think that paying out at qualifiers is going to grow the sport.
No. Agreed.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing too. And
What's up, Corey?
if I was looking to have prestigious events at every one of my events, then I would 100% side with Nathan, right? Like something needs to pull in pullers from out of state, right? And money might be it, right? But my thing is, I think, and a lot of people I've talked to, I don't think they grasp what, like, my idea behind Texas and TAL is, right? And it's just that if nobody came to Texas State other than Texas pullers, I would be okay with that. Now, I love that somebody's coming in from out of state somewhere, and they're coming in and they're welcome them with open arms and everything like that. But at the end of the day, our number one goal is Texas.
Yeah.
So I'm not, this is not a one-off league. I'm trying to treat this as an actual sporting league like you would find in any other city, right? If you're going to go play city ball, baseball or something like that, you're going to have an organization that's going to put on events, right? Or games. You're going to have X amount of games for the seasons, everything like that. Then you're going to have a championship, and then boom, you're going to start over again. It's a rinse and repeat, right? And that's my thing, is I want something that is like we treat it like any other mainstream sport.
I'm sorry, I had a phone call, so I got dropped off. But were you agreeing with me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. Corey Miller in the house.
Yeah, what's he doing? He's supposed to be working out right now.
I'm supposed to be training Mike, but he hasn't called me back.
Yeah. Corey pulls Craig Tooley in 4 days. I'm counting down.
I know.
What?
Yeah. I know.
I'm gonna
How do you feel about it, Frank?
How do I feel about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you feel about it, Frank?
I've written some stuff down. I actually told someone today. I'm excited. Hopefully, I'm cornering Corey.
I'll be right back.
It's great because for Corey to win, he needs to arm wrestle the way I always want him to arm wrestle, and he knows this. But I get to tell him to put it in reverse and keep it in reverse, and don't go sideways until he's won all of the reverse. And we'll see if he can do that.
Huh. How do you feel about it, Corey? Looks like another day for you.
Yeah. I've only had about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks to train since I got back from Worlds. So I haven't, I felt strong for Worlds, so I felt good as far as yield and stuff.
What are you weighing right now, Corey?
I was 190 last night. So not huge, but fat. Just pleasantly plump. But no, I feel strong. My training has been geared towards pulling him, obviously. If you've seen any of my videos recently, I've been doing stuff to be ready for that type of person. I don't feel like I will have as much problems as most people think I'm going to have, but and I pretty much think I can win this match. Like Frank says, as long as I successfully do two things, I think I have a really good shot at winning. But it's funny because no one ever expects me to win any matches since I started arm wrestling.
Used to that, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty much used to people like Dallas Langston putting a $40 billion bet that I lose, which is pretty much the norm.
Corey's also loves getting criticized for a bit of a losing streak when his last 3 or 4 super matches have been world level competitors, such as Mendagas and Giannis and Daniel Prokorchip, and
Porcupine.
quite literally 1, 2, 3, 4 in the world,
Cream of the
and
crop.
then Corey's
Anthony
out
Lowe
here.
had a good question. He says, "Why is Corey pulling Craig the day after he pulls Texas State?"
It's a good.
There we go.
Yeah.
I talked to Jim Coyle for 2 seconds on the internet, and next thing you know, I'm going to Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, that was crazy. No, I feel strong. I feel good. I'm not hurt. That's the main thing, because when you're hurt, it doesn't feel good. But
Right.
I typically, like most people say, I typically beat people in the first match. They don't know what to expect, and they lose. Being that this is a best 2 out of 3, that gives me a little bit more odds in my favor, kind of thing. But either way, I mean, I know Craig's strong. He's big. There's no set weight or anything on this, so we're just both coming in, drinking eggnog and stuff. So, just a fun, good, wholesome match that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Last time I pulled Craig was left-handed, and I weighed 154, and I was in Florida a long time ago. Justin Bishop was 54s back then. That tells you how long ago that was.
Wow.
And I beat him left-handed, but we never ended up pulling right because he lost or dropped out or something happened. But yeah, it was in the 76 class, and I was in the 54s. I pulled both classes. But yeah, so now it gets to finally happen, and hopefully it comes out in my favor. I know he's strong. I felt him a little bit in Vegas, just mess around when I got the stem cells, but I couldn't do shit with anybody at that thing. My arm was so jacked up at that point. But
So the stem cells worked.
the stem cells definitely worked. Yeah, I will 100% tell any single person the stem cells cured my arm.
I think I can speak for everybody when I say an active Corey Miller makes everybody happy.
Yeah.
Love that.
For sure.
Love that. So where can we watch it?
Here.
Excuse me for being daft, but I didn't know about this until just now. So can I watch it anywhere?
That's how all my matches are. They never find out I'm in England until I'm already there. But no, Utah Arm Wrestling, I think, is putting on their YouTube channel. Huh?
John Brezink Cup is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, John Brezink Cup at Bob Brown's Bar. In Utah, Midvale, Utah, or whatever. I think the Utah Arm Wrestling guys are putting it on their channel, their YouTube channel.
Yep. I'm familiar with them. Cool.
It's supposed to start right. It's supposed to be the first thing that starts. Bob has told me many times now that the only reason we're doing a best 2 out of 3 is he doesn't want us to get tired for the regular tournament because he wants us to pull the regular tournament too. So. And then I guess I heard a rumor. I don't know for sure, but I heard a rumor that there's some guy from I'm gonna mess the country up, but there's some guy from some African country or something like Zimbabwe or some crap that is like a national champion for there who's coming, and I guess he's really good, and he's supposed to be in the 98s and pulling with us. So I can't remember what Bob said his name was, but something like that. So he's kind of wanting us to not kill each other, but I'm gonna tell you right now, if that match stops, we're both gonna be done. So arms are gonna be shot. But
What are your expectations for Uncle Tom at Texas State and Dustin Hyatt at Texas State?
Uncle Tom? Who's Uncle Tom? Sorry.
Uncle John.
Uncle John?
I was thinking of Warrant, the song by Warrant, Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Hey,
Uncle John. My bad.
Dustin Hyatt going, well, if he pulls 76s, I guess, or what is 76, right?
76 for sure. It seems like there might be some wiggle room there, maybe in the 98s, but
I don't.
76s, and then Uncle
John.
Yeah, Uncle John. There's no one in Texas that beats Dustin height at 76.
What about 98s?
Depends on if certain people make 98s, I guess.
Good answer. Good
Uncle
answer.
John in the heavies, but isn't like Robbie and those guys hurt though?
Maybe you guys would have more info on that than I.
Well, it's not Robbie. I think he's pulling the 242s, which would be like Tucker Keating and stuff.
No, Uncle John's massive.
Oh, is he? No, I thought he
Huge
was
right
making
now.
the
Yeah, he's huge, dude. He's like 300 almost.
Yeah, he put on a bunch of weight.
Am
Yes.
I crazy?
Yes, you're crazy. Why is your garage red? What's up with that?
Frank, go back to the red light. You look better.
He's almost as big as you, Frank.
No, Uncle John, I swear, is like 270 to 290 somewhere around there. He's massive.
Gotta be. He's like
No, he posted that he was making the 242s. I can almost
With the
guarantee
plus
it.
sign on the end of it, right?
Well, no, I was under that understanding too.
Maybe.
Now, things may have changed, but I was under the understanding he was
so
going to make
it was a thing at one point, though. I'm not.
If he pulls 242s, he doesn't lose to anyone left-handed.
left-handed,
not left-handed.
not
Right-handed.
He'll lose. The right-handed to somebody.
He'll lose to probably someone, but I don't know who.
Like I pulled him right in Florida.
He's not nearly as good right-handed as he is left-handed.
No,
But left-handed, he will murder almost
I mean,
everybody.
still kick my ass, but I mean, I know that there's a big difference there.
Yeah. That's a. I'm surprised he's making 42s. I thought he was big.
Well, that was the plan. Things might have changed. I don't know. I was trying to ask Robert Kelly. I know him and Robert talk a lot when Robert was in the chat, but that was his plan to pull 242. So he was going to pull 242, 243, and then a 275 class. So
that's a lot of money right there.
yeah.
Yeah, Billy, do you remember the conversation I had? I think you were maybe you were on the phone with me and Frank one day. I think it was about 2 years ago when I first met Frank, and he asked me if I went to Texas State, if I pulled every class or whatever, how many classes would I win, type of thing. Were you on the phone when that happened?
Maybe.
He turns his camera back on.
I think the delusion is no. I'm just kidding.
He asked me straight up how many classes would I win and how much. Actually, no. I think he said how much money would you win, and I said at minimum $2,000. And he's like,
and I said,
you're high, you're crazy.
But then again, it depends on who shows up.
No. To this day, do you still think I can't win $2,000 at Texas State?
No, I think you absolutely could, especially one that's in Lubbock.
Okay, good.
But,
I'm glad you finally
I think
come to your
one
realization.
that's in like Austin or San Antonio or Dallas.
Oh, give me a break.
2026.
I mean, there's only one way to find out.
Mark it down.
There's only one way to find out.
I would have come if the Jumpers Inc. wasn't the same day. I would have probably come.
Lubbock's only like 8 hours south of you.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I would have probably come if Jumpers Inc. I run Jumpers Inc. every single year.
Unfortunately, I didn't want to do that. But the hotels, even the Elegante with the connection that we got and stuff like that. I mean,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, when Texas Tech is playing, those hotel rooms are astronomical.
Yeah,
I mean they're crazy.
Did they give you a good rate on your day you're on there?
I mean it wasn't the best rate, but it was accommodating.
Yeah. I mean they're good people though.
I'm out.
I mean, look, I'm getting you out here. Yeah, I mean they're giving us a 7,000 square foot conference room with a stage and seating and all that other kind of stuff for little and nothing. So
yeah,
I can't complain too much.
Yeah, they did good by us in Colorado, and they love us coming back. So they were super helpful.
See, and that's the thing. That conference room that we're in is actually 3 rooms. So
there you go.
Next year when we go back up to Lubbock for the regional, I mean, we'd only need maybe 1 or 2 rooms for that.
Yeah.
If we wanted to do it there again.
Yeah, but you do good this time. They'll have you back for sure.
Yeah.
Later, guys. Thank you.
Be good, James.
Later, man. Yeah. So, no, I pretty much talked about whatever I needed. I just wanted to kind of get everybody to a little bit of a info on Texas State and everything like that. And
yeah, one of these years we'll get you, Corey. Big fan. Watch.
Well, I'll be there in May.
And,
yes, so that's one thing too. Is we got to start talking about that.
Yeah, I wanna get that registration open probably after Christmas, maybe like beginning of the year. We'll open it up. I know Christmas and stuff will be hard for people, but let's open it up like the beginning of the year and get some lists going. I want to get that one filled. This one in the 98s in Washington has been a struggle. We're sitting about 26 guys at the moment, which is, don't get me wrong, that's still good, but it's not great.
Man, I know. I've been watching the conversations in there, and man, that 198's rough.
It's depressing. Not because of it has nothing to do with Luray's tournament. Nothing at all, actually. I actually have had multiple people tell me they can't come because of Luray's event, but the majority of people aren't coming to the 98 one because they simply just can't. So
yeah.
And we've probably messaged 300 people, and I only have 26 to speak for, and I think 6 of them are 76 pounders. So only 20 guys in the 98s, and I got a Canadian. So it's been rough. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen for 76s.
I think location is a big part of it. A lot of people, I think there are some people who are interested, but then they're like, "Oh, Washington," and I'm like, "Yeah, Washington." They're like, "No, I don't think so," and I'm just maybe Texas will be better if it's near. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm trying to make excuses for these guys, but it's hard sometimes.
Colorado's good only because it's easy to fly to.
Yeah.
The Denver airport flights, at least from Austin and Dallas, are like $95 to $105 round trip.
Yeah.
So it's it's nothing. But to go to Washington, you're looking at maybe $350 or something. So it is what it is. I get it.
It was an experiment with this, and it'll be an experiment with the TAL one, and we'll see what happens. And you can only hope for the best. That's pretty much it. It'll still be exciting. I got almost all the same kind of prizes and stuff. We have backpack, jackets, bands, straps, cable machines, like home cable machines, water bottles, chains, stickers, the whole 9 yards, plus your custom shirts, plus all that stuff. I think Arm Sports Entertainment's giving a bunch of crap away too. So, these guys are gonna be like getting everything because there's only 20 of them. So, or 26 of them. But
have they decided on the percentages on how they want to split the money up yet?
Yeah, so they decided on top 4.
Very cool.
Yep. So we'll have 4 sponsored athletes this time. And just to caveat onto that, we've had 8 so far now, and 8 together has worked out really well. Most of these guys are using their money well, or ended up taking out the lump sum, so we have extra left over, and so that's just constantly keeping this going. But the 26 guys we have is going to be a battle. There is like 1 or 2 slightly higher level guys, but again, they're going to get put right together in the beginning. So it's going to be rough on them.
Yeah, I know D Woody was talking about it earlier, but that would be something I'd really like to really take a hard look at is seeding, maybe next year.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think the 76 one, there's a lot of guys already in your region, so it should be fairly good.
Yeah.
San Antonio's that's probably a good time of year. It's a good day because of Memorial Day
3-day
weekend or
weekend.
whatever, or 3-day weekend. Yeah. So I think it'll work.
Yeah, and
I
people
think
like to
it's
travel.
probably
to San Antonio.
Tim. That's probably what it is. People just don't like Tim. That's why they're not coming.
I think that Tim's been the hot
Jesus.
topic lately. So
Yeah, he's a hot commodity.
Man, I'm going on vacation. I can't deal with arm wrestling right now.
can't do anything right.
When are you saying you're gonna have the one in Texas?
It's going to be May. Memorial Day weekend, May 23rd, 4th.
24th, I think. Yep.
Yeah,
Ooh. Is it
176.
Is it the 24th?
Yeah, like the 23rd, 24th.
Yeah, it's that Memorial Day weekend.
That's the weekend before Memorial Day weekend.
No, isn't it the day before more?
No, because my Arizona State's always the first weekend after Memorial Day weekend, so it's like June 7th next year.
It's the 24th, and Memorial Day is the 26th.
Yeah, that Monday.
Is it?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
John Wayne
Yeah,
Day.
yeah. Arizona State's June 7th.
June 7th. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always the first. We always do it the first weekend after Memorial Day weekend. It's when the prices go down to get out to Arizona because school's out the weekend before Memorial Day. That Wednesday, school ends in Arizona. So it's like a lot of people leave on vacation and stuff like that. So it's always nicer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I think now that I mean, I've been thinking about it a little bit, and yeah, we do. I think we're going to have quite a few 176ers that are going to fall into that category. So
I've already had a couple of people hitting me up about that one that are 76 guys. So it's just like it's kind of strange to me how many people messaged us back saying that they're not a normal 98 guy and they have to lose a lot of weight and they don't want to lose a lot of weight in December.
Yeah.
It's
Corey,
bonkers.
Corey called me one day and goes, Frank, starting to think that the 198 class doesn't even exist.
Yeah,
I agree.
I almost kind of believe that. It's kind of a made-up class.
He's like, you're either a fat 176er or a light 220, but there's not really a 198er. It's not that's not a real class.
I think everybody got accustomed to that 209 class and just said the hell with 98 because I mean that's, if you would have just said, oh, it's a 209 round robin, not 198.
You'd have had endless amount of people. Yeah, 2 days.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's full.
Yeah, it has crossed my mind to change the weight. I mean, that one guy would appreciate me changing the weight. But,
it's crazy. Yeah, I mean,
I like the 176, 198, 220 weight classes. I think those are good weight classes.
Yeah,
and I'm just glad that they're consistent. It's what the TAO uses. It's it's the consistent. It's the most consistent weight class that I'm accustomed to. And personally, I'm not a fan normally when people change classes or when they make up their own. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I don't like and I'm like you. I don't like the one-off, the 215 class. Like,
right.
We're just building classes for your friend. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. That's all it is. It's like, oh,
yeah.
Brother, you see that? It's in Louisiana. Oh yeah, because everybody walks around 210. Got it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, and like that Heath just said, he didn't know and he already confirmed. That's fine. I'm not worried about those people. I mean,
sure.
We're talking like 20 guys over there too, so that doesn't account for the 300 plus people we messaged.
Yes,
Matt, I swear every person I talk to says the same thing. I'm like 210, 212 right now. I don't want to make a 13-pound cut. I'm just like, what the hell?
I mean, even for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, like,
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Sounds like someone making that sort of cut might be pretty competitive if they can, I don't know. That's my take. That's my hot take.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
How many people we reached out to that said, "Oh, I don't think I'm good enough," and I go, "No, you don't understand. I ran the numbers. You're perfect. You're exactly what we're looking for."
I'm surprised a lot of 176 guys didn't jump into it. Seeing
There,
Oh, it's
how,
there
funny.
is
The
now.
176
There is.
guys seem almost more eager than the 198 guys.
I think we have
well,
6 of them.
well, I mean, like for me, like if I was 176, I would be more eager because the track reference has proven that this a lighter weight guy is jumping into like say like well Frank jumped into the 242s and what he
Oh
took
yeah,
The supers.
I got a perfect seed. I got like
yeah you're a
the
lower
best
seed
seeding I could get, and I snuck my way into 4th place.
yeah
That's the
I
sort
mean
of thing that's possible, and I'm a living testament that you don't have to be good to win some money.
well it's not
Jesus.
even that it's just that all the big dogs in that class have to face each other first and you're gonna be able to go
Yeah,
right into to pull them when they're deadbeat tired.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I still lost to the best guys in the tournament, like the guys who were, I would say, typically expected to be in that top 4. I lost to 3 of them, which or 3 because I had a pull
Yeah,
off.
you have a pull
So
off. Yeah.
yeah, so it still worked out pretty accurately, but you still had someone who was seeded 32 out of 64 who went home with some money and some merch and some awards. And I try to sell that to the guys. I'm talking to them like, hey, just because you're number 1 doesn't mean you can't win some money. And then of course they get to hear the whole spiel, but I'm like, all right, just letting you know, man, this is a tournament for you. And it is, like, for anyone out there who's listening right now, these tournaments, if you consider yourself a middle of the pack guy, then the Super 64 is for you. And so whenever
Yeah.
your weight class comes up, you need to hop on it.
Yeah.
Hop on it, train for it, prep for it, because that's your chance to shine. It's your chance to have your breakout event. It really is. I I can't say enough good things about it.
I
I mean,
mean,
I had a couple of guys that I hit up. I forgot where they were from. I think they were in like St. Louis area or something like that. And they're like, "Oh, I just the plane tickets are too expensive, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I messaged them back a screenshot of the plane tickets. I found it for like $198 round trip. I'm like, I don't know what you were looking at when you told me they were $450, but here's 198. It was on Alaskan Airlines. I'm like, it's really not bad to fly into Portland, Oregon from a lot of places around the U.S. I have like 3 Florida guys coming out to my event, and I think they paid $220 round trip.
Yeah,
mhm.
that's not bad at all.
Yeah, I don't. It's like people make excuses or whatever, have a situation or something like that. That's fine, but it is kind of crazy. Like even like the supers and the 42s were a little rough in the beginning, but we didn't have. I only had like 150 people that qualified, and I got 64. Where the 98s
Oh,
we had 400 some people qualified, and we only got
and we
26.
overshot it. We overshot it at one point where if you count all the drops and
Oh yeah, that's
everything,
right. Yeah,
like all together, we probably had 85
right.
plus people who
Yeah,
signed up, and 20 of them dropped, and we still had 64.
yeah. If we would have had all of them not drop, we could have had like an 89-man tournament. It'd have been unreal.
Could have been awesome.
Yeah. But it's kind of funny that we're sitting here talking about this, about not being able to get somebody or a lot of people out to this event that has such a high payoff. Because we were like literally just having a conversation a little while ago about if the premise was if you want more people to come to your event, you need to offer payouts, right?
And
And it's like, okay, well, is that true? I mean, because you guys were offering 5K and you can't get anybody really.
yeah, I don't believe it's money anymore.
I don't believe it. If it was money, then why wouldn't 1,000 more people show up to the WSA, the World
Mm-hmm.
Series? They're giving out the
Right.
most amount of money, and what do we have at the finals? We had 160 entries,
Yeah.
and they're giving out 55,000 cash.
Yeah.
It can't be the money. But a
No.
lot of those people will say you get the bulk of the people that say I'm not going unless there's money payouts. But both of those people can't even take top 10.
Yeah.
I won't use the names, but I had a guy for the 64 tell me he would not come unless he was guaranteed money to come, and he had only pulled 4 matches before. I was like, what?
And that goes back to that's a whole other podcast that we need to get into, because I think that, you know, not to deliberately be controversial to anybody or anything, but I think a lot of people in the community overvalue themselves, right?
Yeah.
You know, for what the community is. You know, it's still growing, you know, and there's a lot of things that we still got to improve on, but then it's like you run into some people and you try to throw some people a bone and they just like turn their lip up at it. And I'm like, you're not doing anything. Like nobody's even talking about you. And we're trying to throw you a bone, and you're crinkling your nose up at us. It's like, what do you really think you're worth?
Yeah, you pulled like 5 amateur matches and a super match against some nobody I've never heard of, and now you want paid to show up and all this other stuff, and I'm just like,
I think that is individuals' mindset on how they can promote the sport forward. Like their idea of like promoting the sport is, oh, if I'm getting paid, you know, that, or maybe it's selfishness or something. I know there's some people like myself, like if you just call and invite me to a tournament, not offer to pay me anything, if you're just like, hey, do you want to go to this event and just split the Airbnb with me? I'm like, when is it? Who's all going?
Well, it's like one of those things too. You get those people like you're talking about that. Oh, I need this guaranteed money to come or whatever. I love when people tell me that, or if I ask someone for, hey, I'm running the super match card, you know, would love for you to come, and we talk details, and they're like, yeah, but I need guaranteed this much to show up. Not just if I win, I just need it to show up. And I just like, oh, okay. How many pay-per-views are you gonna bring me, or what can you guarantee me? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you want guaranteed money. What can you guarantee me? Well, you're using my name and that should give you enough. I said, oh, so your name is going to get me, say, I don't know, 200 pay-per-views to pay for your guaranteed $1,000 show up. I was like, you must be really fucking popular to be able to give me that, because that's impressive.
No.
Or it's like this, you know, it's like the thing with like like Trayton was talking about, like, all right, so you want to be paid to come in. Okay, cool. What else? I mean, like, other than what I think the value is of you being there, you know, and what it's going to bring me, what else am I going to get for it, right? Are you going to help promote me? Are you going to share the flyers? Are you going to, you know, give shout outs on social media? I mean, are you going to do anything else for, you know, this payment? Or is it just to show up and then, like you said, okay, well, there might be 5 or 10 people that'll buy the pay-per-view to watch you. Well, then where's the payoff?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. It is, especially it's like, oh yeah, my buddy got paid, you know, I'll give you an example, to come ref, and well, I'm like, yeah, like they're paid, like those people should be paid the most, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you want good entertainment, but you could have Joe and Bob have the best match of history and everybody loved it and they're going to talk about it for years and you don't even know who they are. The value comes from how your stuff is ran, and the matches are going to unfold themselves. There's always going to be good matches, no matter what. Whether it's pros, amateurs, someone's going to show out, and it's going to be awesome to watch. But what do you get? Like, say I had Corey come pull, you know, Frank, and Frank beats him 3-0. I'm like, so what value did you just bring me? Because I had to pay you 500 to show up. Like, it means nothing.
Nope.
And they won't share one flyer besides their flyer that they're on. They won't share the event page, nothing like that.
Well, you know, that's another aspect. You know, I brought up a while back was when you really look across the community, right? Who are the ones sharing flyers?
Right.
Promoters, right? Obviously, we're promoting our events, right? But how many pullers? Like, if you've got 200 entries at a tournament, that's probably about what, 75, 80 guys. You know, maybe 70 guys. How many of those 70 people are sharing the flyer to your event?
Maybe 30, 20, maybe.
If that.
Maybe.
That's it. I would even say that's high.
That's really high.
That's
Yeah.
what I said, maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
they may share it once because
Mhm.
they accepted your, accepted the invite and maybe share it that they're going and that's it. Or I mean, they said if that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing I noticed like early on was, man, the pullers, we've got to, like here in Texas, for instance, I could pretty much count on one hand when I share something. Now everybody's liking it and stuff like that. But as far as like taking that post or that flyer and then sharing it out into their feed with their friends and stuff like that, I could probably count on like five people that are consistent in doing that. If I post a flyer for an event, usually within the next, 2 hours, I'm going to see it shared on their page. But if I have 100 pullers show up, that's only like 5 out of 100 that are sharing those events. There's just no promotion from the pullers themselves.
Yeah, that would have been a good sample too, and we kind of touched on that too with Trayton's question when he asked how can the pullers help, do more for the sport, and that's one part of it. I think the big eye opener for me this year, though, kind of along this side of it, is you have to look at the big picture, right? Corey, how many did you guys say roughly there was in North America? It was like 4,000 or something total pullers who pulled in a.
Oh, you're talking about the active puller?
Yeah. And say at least once.
Yeah, from last year to this year. Well, I guess we did the year before to the year last year. There was about 3,500 active pullers across all women's, men's classes, etc.
North America or just U.S.?
Well, U.S. events that submitted to Aries, so basically the United States and one Canadian event.
Okay.
But that increased only, I want to say, about 100 in 1 year.
You have drop off too, right? And
well, yeah. So one thing that we pulled, statistically speaking, from last year to this year, events wise, one of the biggest things we've noticed is that the consistent big events, so like Texas, Colorado, Arizona, Michigan, the big events, that have a lot of entries, Winter Blast, those events stayed roughly the same size, pretty close, not maybe it was like slightly drops or slightly ups. But since there's been so many extra small events, it dispersed all the people down through those ones. So there wasn't as many large events, and they go like 5 and then go straight down the pipe from there.
Yeah. All the medium-sized events got smaller, and all small events stayed the same and/or got smaller, and there was way more of them. But the big events, still did well. So it's kind of like basically big events are still doing well, but because of all the extra events, the medium or average event has gotten smaller.
Yeah,
based off of just entries and stuff.
Yeah, about you could say about 7 entries less per event now than last year.
Billy, what was kind of fun that I did last year that we'll probably do again? It's coming up to Washington State. We did like a fan favorite type of thing to where we picked, we told on our page, we said, hey, whoever shares this page the most, whoever interacts the most or whatever, we'll do a random draw and you get like a free entry into Washington State and a free t-shirt. Sure. And I think we've done it twice now. And it's kind of cool that you go around and you're like, oh yeah, I saw this guy. He said he was going. I'm going. It kind of just gives the pullers incentives of like to share your shit for a t-shirt and a free entry or something. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, definitely great ideas. Great things to do. It seems more likely though that it's almost got this weird like fog of people not wanting to know who's going to the event. Like, I don't want anybody to know I'm going to be there.
Yeah, we got
So I don't know.
Some pullers, like if you announce that Corey's going to show up, it may affect attendance at certain events. People,
I got to take off, guys. So appreciate you guys.
That's their time.
Later.
That'll decrease your entries.
Yeah, I mean it does. We laugh, but it can have a But yeah, Corey, super nice of you to come on and join us. Billy, I got to bounce.
Yeah. It's about time to get off. But
to see, I can't wait to see our event. Well, of course, state this weekend, and I think it's going to be great. And then Corey, I'm excited.
What time does Texas State start?
1.
I think I pulled Craig at noon Utah time, so an hour. So
Okay.
it'll be 11. So 12. So it's an hour before. So it'll be 12 your time, and so right around 12 your time. So an hour before the tournament starts. Watch me beat Craig.
Find that link. Maybe we can put it up on.
Yeah, if they're going to actually live stream it, then maybe we can get it up on a TV or something like that.
Yeah, no, it'll be on that Utah Arm Wrestling page, YouTube page.
Sounds great, man.
Yep. Thanks, Corey. Thanks, Billy.
Hey, guys.
Thanks, Frank.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
We'll see y'all.